and jewellery. The Home Secretary Theresa May will make a statement to MPs later today about allegations of organised child sex abuse by public figures in the 1980s. It comes amid calls for a full public inquiry. Labour has accused the Home Office of failing to respond to legitimate public concerns. The Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated. Ashley Brown was dismissed for discussing strike action over pensions on Twitter. More from Matt Lockwood.
The FBU says Mr Brown was sacked just before Christmas last year. Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service said the tweets amounted to gross misconduct. Mr Brown denied this and an appeal against his dismissal was rejected. An online petition in support of Mr Brown's attracted over 4,000 signatures. The case is now due to be heard before an employment tribunal in September.
Government ministers will travel across the country today, highlighting £12 billion worth of local investment projects over the next 6 years. In this area, it includes £22.5 million to dual the A421 from Milton Keynes to junction 13 of the M1 and £10 million for Bedfordshire's Woodside Link, a new road which will connect Houghton Regis and the industrial estate in Dunstable to the planned new M1 junction 11A. In sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Out of the final corner he comes. Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. His second win at Silverstone, his fifth of this 2014 season. It's a huge boost to his championship hopes and finally something to smile about for Britain in this summer of sport.
The Hertfordshire driver now just 4 points behind teammate and championship leader Nico Rosberg, who failed to finish. And it's the third stage of the Tour de France from Cambridge to London, with the riders heading down the Hertfordshire-Essex border on their way to the capital. The weather staying dry with sunny spells, but with scattered showers this afternoon, which could turn heavy. A maximum temperature 22 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Where's it going to be this week?
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
Vibrant, diverse and very, very close to all the local amenities.
But where is it?
The shopping centre.
It's all about where you live.
But where is it?
Open and nice and green and beautiful.
And
But where? But where?
all this week we're featuring Fishermead.
We are up and coming and hopefully getting more and
Fishermead.
more friendly.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Maybe next week. I'm 41 years old and man alive, I feel it today. I feel it. Feeling old and tired and flat. I feel flat, Kelly.
Well, you look great.
Hey! I've dressed like a teenager.
I know, I like it.
Or a middle-aged man. I'm wearing a hoodie.
A what?
A hoodie.
Is that a musician?
And I'm wearing a pop band T-shirt.
What pop band?
They might be giants.
Oh, hey, we should play them today.
Yeah, why the hell not? Why the hell not, guys? If you've got any remedies for flatness, then why are you laughing?
Just at you.
You laugh at that?
Oh, okay.
Thanks very much indeed. Oh! 5 minutes into the show, the producer turns up. Blythe, where you been, love?
Oh, give me a break. It's Monday.
Yeah, she's right. It's Monday. We're all a bit flat. It's just flat. Lots coming up on the show. I'll tell you what in a bit.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
This song used to terrify me. I remember hearing this song in the dark once when I was about, I don't know, 7. It scared the life out of me, man.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack, and you may find yourself in another part of the world, and you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile, and you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? as it ever was. Same 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 as it ever was. Water dissolving and water removing. There is water at the bottom of the ocean. Under the water, carry the water. Remove the water at the bottom of the ocean. Remove the water dissolving and water removing.
Letting the days go by. Let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by. Water flowing underground into the blue again. Into the silent water. Under the rocks and stones. There is water underground. Letting the days go by. Let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by. Water flowing underground into the blue again. After the body's gone. Once in a lifetime. Water flowing underground.
You may ask yourself, what is that beautiful house? You may ask yourself, where does that highway go to? And you may ask yourself, am I right? Am I wrong? And you may say to yourself, my God, what have I done?
Letting the days go by. Let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by. Water flowing underground into the blue again. Into the silent water. Under the rocks and stones. There is water underground. Letting the days go by. Let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by. Water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone. Once in a lifetime. Water flowing underground.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Look where my hand was. Time isn't holding up. Time isn't after us. Same as it ever was. Same as it
Yep. I was once in David Byrne's hotel room. Yep, that's true, guys.
Same as it ever was.
Doing quite a stilted interview with him. Huh? These things happen.
Twister comes. Here comes the twister. Same as it ever was.
Here comes the twister.
Same as it ever was.
Now, this week's big tour takes us to Fishermead in Milton Keynes, where people are afraid nothing's been learned from tragic events in the past. In 2010, a mother and daughter died in a fire at their home, which it later emerged was an unlicensed house of multiple occupation. The landlord was jailed, and the coroner at the time warned that unless the government cracked down on landlords, forcing them to register and insisting their properties had escape routes and sprinkler systems, well, it could easily happen again. 4 years later, people living in Fishermead tell us nothing much has changed. I'm joined this morning by Terry Baines, who chairs the Fishermead Residents Association. Morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on at this ridiculous time of the day. What's going on there? What's happening?
Saying there's been no improvement, there has been a slight improvement. We identified quite a few homes in multiple occupation that we informed the council of. They investigated. They came up with a certain number that were they decided were HIMOs, and they started action to make sure they were licensed. But unfortunately, it's not just the licensing, it's also the planning applications and this sort of thing, which takes so long. So in other words, as soon as a place gets a licence, they fill it with people, and then some 8-9 months later, of course, it ends up having to have planning permission, which a lot of the landlords do not want to do, for obvious reasons. The main reason is, of course, the fact that the government, or the Milton Keynes Council, has really stamped down on the regulations for it, and they normally can't get planning permission. So they've got a house full of people that need accommodation. There's quite a dilemma as well, because of the fact that does the council really want to shut somewhere down that's got probably 5 or 6 single people in who they would have to try and find accommodation for?
Are you worried that we could see another situation like 2010 and that terrible fire?
Oh, yes, definitely. There are definitely HIMOs on this estate that are not licensed, haven't got planning permission, are unregulated, with scrupulous landlords, where we could end up with another Fishermead Boulevard with deaths.
You've compiled a list, haven't you, of suspected unlicensed properties?
Yes, we did.
I'm assuming you sent that to the council. What did they say?
They went through it. There were some they couldn't get access to. There were some they say were extended families. Some they agreed were HIMO. Some they said, well, oh, no, they're just ordinary family homes. We still disagree. We don't agree that all of the homes that they said were not HIMOs aren't HIMOs. And we're starting now to put another list together.
But if they ignored the first list, what are they going to do with the second one, Terry?
Well, we'll see. We've got a new administration in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Let's see if they're a little bit more different. We didn't have to use the administration last time because of the fact the council officers were working with us. If necessary, we'll go to the administration and say, look, this is what's happening. We desperately need this we're looking at. Come and help us.
Why is there such a problem in Fishermead, do you think?
Right, okay. It's the size of the houses. It's 3-storey townhouses which are still relatively cheap because most of them haven't been modernised. They're ex-council stock and they are ideal for converting into HIMOs.
Right.
A garage as well on the front, which is also gutted and converted as well. So you could actually end up with 6 rooms.
If you go to the council, Terry, and they say, Mr. Baines, thank you for this list, excellent, we are going to act on it immediately, what can they do? Because there is a shortage, isn't there, of council housing stock. So what do you think they could and should do?
Well, they should act within the law. Well, the law is a HIMO on 3 storeys with more than 5 people must be licensed, or any HIMO in 3 storeys must be licensed. So they must inspect to make sure it's been brought up to fire regulations with fire alarms. It's got a certain a standard of the property, that there's certain things in place for that property. And if they don't, then they are breaking the law. They are doing that bit to a certain extent. If they basically they go knocking on the door, is this a HIMO, is this a house in micro-operation? And if the people say no, they just walk away. Even if there's clear evidence of, 4 or 5 bells at the door, or 4 or 5 satellite dishes on the house.
Yeah.
Which is evidence.
Yeah, so if the person who opens the door says, no, it's just me and the missus.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, so the system isn't perfect. The system isn't as good as it should be. We have a system in place that doesn't seem to work that well. But it's a system it's the only system we've got. It does need improving. We do need more regulation on it. And also we need more enforcement on the fact that the ones that are there that haven't got licences, it's the lack of enforcement.
Terry, thank you very much indeed. That's Terry Baines, who chairs the Fishermead Residents Association. It's BBC Three Counties Radio. If you want to give us a call about, any of the stuff we're talking about today, or if you have any suggestions for reducing flatness. Feel a bit flat. Not Terry. Terry seemed quite perky for 6 o'clock in the morning. We all feel a bit flat here. We've got the Monday morning bees, the blues. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, a very good morning, and so far this morning, taking a look at the A41 heading southbound, there's a lane closed at the moment due to an accident. Some recovery work are taking place as well, just at the Chesham turn-off. So far, taking a look at the M25, moving rather well, as is the A414, no reported problems or delays. Taking a look at the trains, everything seems to be running to time so far this morning. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very
sorry.
Nicola, was my microphone open?
Oh, no, I didn't hear anything.
No, I'm so sorry. I'll make sure next time it's definitely switched off. Thank you. 6:16. It's Monday, the 7th of July. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. Residents say there are still unlicensed HIMOs after a mother and daughter died in 2010. Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home near Olney while it was being burgled. And in sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday morning morning from 9.
Good morning, welcome to the JVS show.
Your local stories.
Have you had to rebuild your life after being a victim of crime? Do you think it's inhumane to keep people in prison for life? Do you think that immigration needs to stop?
Your local life.
Why do 70% of this country feel immigration is wrong?
We've actually got an open doors policy.
I am just so angry listening to some of them people.
What the government will do, they'll start introducing American-type sentencing, like 200 years in prison.
The JVS show.
British people are not xenophobic.
Weekday mornings from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm your only friend, I'm not your only friend, but I'm a little glowing friend, but really I'm not actually your friend, but I am.
Looking her in the alley by the light switch, who watches over you? Make a little birdhouse in your soul, not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. I have a secret to tell from my electrical well. It's a simple message and I'm leaving out the whistles and bells. So the room must listen to me, filibuster vigilantly. My name is Blue Canary, one note spelled L-I-T-E. My story's infinite, like the Longines Symphony. It doesn't rest. Blue Canary in the alley by the light switch, who watches over you? Make a little birdhouse in your soul, not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. But I'm a little glowing friend, but really I'm not actually your friend, but I am. There's a picture opposite me of my primitive ancestry, which stood on rocky shores and kept the beaches shipwreck free. Though I respect that a lot, I'd be fired if that were my job. After killing Jason off and countless screaming Argonauts, blue bird of friendliness, like guardian angels, it's always near. Blue Canary in the alley by the light switch, who watches over you? Make a little birdhouse in your soul, not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the night light on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the night light on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the night light on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul.
Thank you. Thank you. Flat. Now, more than 4,000 people have signed an online petition calling for the reinstatement of a Hertfordshire firefighter sacked for comments made on social media. Ashley Brown was dismissed on charge of gross misconduct for tweeting during one of last year's Fire Brigade's union strikes. Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service claim his comments were threatening in nature and may have brought Hertfordshire County Council into disrepute. Well, Catherine Boyle has been looking into this and joins me now. Catherine, what more do we know about Ashley Brown's case?
Well, our reporters have been trying to establish what exactly was said on Twitter, and I've been trying again this morning, but you see, none of the parties involved will tell us because it's subject to an employment tribunal, which is set to happen in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, we have Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service claiming that Mr Brown's tweets were, as you said there, threatening in nature and may have brought the County Council into disrepute. Meanwhile, the Fire Brigade Union say that's simply not the case, which is why they've launched this petition, which is slowly but surely surely making its way around Facebook. In the weeks after Ashley Brown's sacking, they set up an account to keep him and his family afloat. So FBU members all over England, Scotland and Wales have been more than aware of what's going on and familiar with this case from the beginning.
Who is Ashley Brown? What do we know about him?
Not a lot. He's a father of three who, according to the FBU, has been working for Hearts Fire and Rescue for 26 years and had an unblemished disciplinary record until last year. And that's about all we know, because the union's been speaking for him since it all began. We know he was sacked on the 9th of December last year. As his supporters would highlight, that was just 2 weeks before Christmas, which is why it led to this sort of benevolent fund being set up for him.
And what have Mr Brown's supporters been saying in his defence?
4,000 people, in fact in excess of 4,000 people now, have signed the online petition, and the comments, as you'd expect, are largely about being shocked and outraged. The FBU insists that none of the alleged tweets were aimed at any individual or at Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service by name, and no referrals been made to the police about any alleged threats or the alleged threatening nature of the tweets. The online petition also says that, contrary to untrue and malicious rumours, no reference was made whatsoever to people, who people were, where they may live, or what may happen to their homes.
Man alive, I would love to see these tweets. I've tweeted, if any of my followers may, for whatever reason, have seen these tweets or have them. I've looked online, we both looked online, we can't find them anywhere, and no one will tell us what they say.
See, the danger is that this could become a political football. You've got a man's livelihood at stake, you've got a family man here who is being caught up in the middle of this, and obviously it could be used as something to beat the other party with. You know, these disputes have got fairly nasty.
The Broxbourne MP, Charles Walker, has got involved in this case, hasn't he?
Yes, and he wouldn't speak to us today ahead of the tribunal in a couple of weeks' time, but he told our reporter that he remained supportive of Mr Brown's battle to get his job back. Back in May, I've been looking this up, he told the Herts Mercury that he hoped the case will be reviewed and that some compassion will be exercised by those in authority. Ashley's been a firefighter for 26 years and has an unblemished record. He fully admits to having made a mistake, which he's apologised for, and I don't think what I've seen is a hanging offence. I hope that common sense prevails and he's given the opportunity to return to the job he loves.
I'm guessing Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service won't be coming on the show this morning.
You're guessing right. They won't be commenting at this time, and an FBU official told us that the hearing is due to start on the 29th of September, but they're taking steps to try to get this resolved before then.
It's a long shot, but if you've got these tweets, you know, what do they call it, a screen grab or something like that, email them in, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk.
I'm hearing the light from the window. I'm seeing the sound of the sea. My feet have gone loose from their moorings. I'm feeling quite wonderfully free. And I think I will travel to Rio, using the music for flight. There's nothing I know of in Rio, but it's something to do with the night. It's only a whimsical notion to fly down to Rio tonight, but I probably won't fly down to Rio. But then again, I just There's wings to the thought behind fancy. There's wings to the thought behind play. And dancing to rhythms of laughter makes laughter the rhythm of rain. So I think I will travel to Rio, using the music for flight. There's nothing I know of in Rio, but it's something to do with the night. It's only a whimsical notion to fly down to Rio tonight, and I probably won't fly down to Rio, but then again I just might. of well-being. The problems have come to be solved. And what I thought was proper for battle, I see now is proper for love. So I think I will travel to Rio, using the music for flight. There's nothing that I know in Rio, but it's something to do with the night. It's only a whimsical notion to fly down to Rio tonight. And I probably won't fly down to Rio, but then again, I'll just might.
Here's something. What? This doesn't sound anything like Engelbert Humperdinck.
Sounds quite like Engelbert.
Hang on, it's not finished.
Wow, that happened, did it?
Come on, man! He invented pop videos with that video song.
Yeah, plenty of time during that, didn't he?
Flippin' heck!
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 Luton Spur building up in patches between junction 10A for the Kidneywood roundabout and junction 10 for Luton Airport as those major roadworks are continuing there. There's a lane close on the A41 heading southbound at the Chesham turnoff. There's been an accident there and at the moment some recovery work is taking place. In Bricketwood, rather heavy moving at the moment on the North Orbital Road, just coming off at the M25. So far taking a look at the trains, minor delays on the Metropolitan line between Rickmansworth and Amersham, and that's due to a signal failure. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts, and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. Residents say there are still unlicensed HIMOs after a mother and daughter died in 2010. Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home while it was being burgled. Two men raided the victim's house near Olney during the early hours of Saturday. And the Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated. Ashley Brown was dismissed for discussing strike action over pensions on Twitter.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. The Hertfordshire driver is now just 4 points behind teammate and championship leader Nico Rosberg, who failed to finish.
It's incredible. I've been to hell and back, and now I feel I'm really on cloud nine. I mean, the support I've had this weekend has been undoubtedly the greatest I've ever had.
And for the Milton Keynes Red Bull team, Daniel Ricciardo was third and Sebastian Vettel fifth. It's the third stage of the Tour de France from Cambridge to London, with the riders heading down the Hertfordshire-Essex border on their way to the capital. Defending champion Chris Froome found yesterday's ride from York to Sheffield difficult.
That really was a tough stage today. It was undulating all day.
big fight for position, but I mean the crowds out there were incredible. I mean the support we've had from Yorkshire has just been out of this world.
Novak Djokovic won the Wimbledon title after a thrilling 5-set victory over Roger Federer.
You know, going into a match with Novak, it's always going to be tough, sometimes rough physically, because, you know, we play athletic points and, you know, I can only say congratulations today. Amazing match, amazing tournament once again, and deserved, well deserved.
In football, Luton have confirmed the signing of experienced right-back Paul Connolly to fill the gap left by Ronnie Henry's departure. 30-year-old Connolly has previously been at Plymouth, Derby and Leeds and ended last season at Crawley. And in cricket's Minor Counties Championship, it's day 2 of 3 at Harpenden. Hertfordshire are 82 for 2 in reply to Norfolk's 197. Bedfordshire declared on 276 for 9 away to Cumberland. The hosts are 110 for 1 in reply, and Buckinghamshire are 254 for 4 away to Suffolk. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm not going to be made to look a fool anymore. You've done it once too often. What do you take me for? Oh, darling, there isn't any pleasing you, is there? Now, if you think I don't mean what I say and I'm only bluffing, you've got another thing coming. I'm telling you that for nothing. Oh, darling, I'm leaving. That's what I'm going to do.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. You've got my head spinning, no kidding. I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Oh, give me all of you. Cards on the table, we're both showing hearts, risking it, although it's hard. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me,
Brought bags.
and you give me all of you.
I imagine it's got something to do with
I give you
got bags.
all of me. and you give me all of you.
Oh, yeah, all right, John. Thank you, mate. Yep. Thank you, John. That one, I believe, could be described as being for the lovers out there. Maybe it's got you feeling a little bit romantic if you're still in bed. Good for you. Why would you be listening to this nonsense? I hope you switched us off now.
Yeah, because we're ruining it.
Yeah, if you are, if that got you in the mood and you intend to see that mood through to its natural conclusion, switch me off.
Yeah, because we're not in the mood.
I don't want to be any part of that at all. For goodness sakes, you perverts.
Frankly, I feel a bit violated. Turn it off.
Yes. Pack it in. Grow up, for goodness sakes. You've got kids.
Got work to do. Out.
Catherine Boyle has joined me. When I say joined me, has remained in the studio.
I couldn't expend the energy.
Can I show off to you?
Go on. Whoa.
I'm joking. A couple of weeks ago, you were very upset because your children had been involved in a non-competitive school sports day.
Yeah, I know.
And what did they end up doing at this non-competitive school sports day?
Time trials.
Oh dear. And they
bored time trials.
It was my son's sports day on Friday, and I was expecting the same. And I didn't go. I couldn't go because I was here. I was overjoyed to receive a phone call from my son saying, "Daddy, I won all 3 of my races."
And did he really win, or did he just?
I've got video evidence.
Oh right.
I've got video evidence. He won all 3 of his races. One was just a race, straight race.
Mm-hmm.
One was a teddy bear race.
What does that involve?
Well, from what I can gather from him, it involves him picking up a teddy bear and running. And another one was a bucket and spade race.
What's that?
Same, but with a bucket and spade. That's the only difference I could get out of him. He didn't really want to talk about it too much. He won...
You don't want to talk about it, too honest.
He doesn't like to brag. He got 3 stickers. He won He won all of his races.
OK, what's that going to get him in life?
Well, it's going to teach him that he's going to win everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's successful.
And that a teddy bear and a bucket and spade are not an impediment to winning.
Exactly. So
yeah, well, my daughter got an outstanding report on Friday, like academically. So,
for what?
Reading and writing and maths and stuff that will get her a job.
Yeah, but he can
run with a bucket and spade.
Thank you very much indeed. I know what skill I would rather have. It's flat this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I'm looking for cutlery. Do you know why? I've been inspired by some Nottinghamshire schoolboys.
Yeah, go on. What have they done?
Tunnelled out.
Of where?
Of their school. Pupils at one of Britain's worst behaved schools. Hang on, serious face. These boys got problems.
These guys got issues, guys. They've got issues, guys. Let's sit down and try and understand.
But fair play, they attempted to escape by tunnelling under a 12-foot high security fence using cutlery pilfered from the canteen.
What issues have they got apart from they are wicked at digging?
In the scheme apparently inspired by the film The Great Escape. No, they wouldn't have seen that.
They wouldn't have seen The Great Escape.
5 boys, 8, that's part of their problem.
The Great Escape's not as good as everyone says, by the way, either.
It's all right, though.
Yes, I mean, it's all right.
You're just used to it. If you hadn't seen it before, you go, that is a fair play, that's a good film.
I mean, but it's not brilliant. That and The Italian Job.
See? You're nearly smiling.
Only because you look like you really had to put a lot of effort into doing that whistle.
I'm good at whistling.
You're not, though. I can whistle effortlessly.
Go on, then.
OK, what do you want me to whistle?
That. Colonel Bogey. Colonel Bogey.
Beg your pardon, don't call me that. Right. Right, so I'm going to...
OK, this is effortless.
OK, I'm going to do it effortlessly.
You're having to warm up your lips.
The pressure's on.
You can't do it when you're laughing.
Listen, if you're going to do something active, you've got to warm up your lips. Right. You all right?
Yeah, go.
Stop looking at me. Right, here we go.
OK, that's good, but that's not Colonel Bogey. That was nice, had a bit of a trill on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now Colonel Bogey.
I don't know who he is.
Do you know what? I'm feeling a bit less flat. Bit of whistling. Turns out the milkman was onto something.
Yeah. Can you whistle and hum at the same time?
Not really.
OK, I can.
Well, that's like one of those sort of Nepalese tribesman things.
No idea what she says.
They can do circular whistling and that. Anyway, these lads tried to get out. They got foiled when teachers discovered what they were doing. Teachers!
Man, teachers.
Andy Roach, assistant head teacher at the 1,200 pupil school, alerted staff Squealer.
Grass.
To the attempted breakout in an email last week about students digging a hole under the fence to escape. He wrote, "A state have filled in the hole and put a metal bar across the bottom of the fence in that area. However, can staff on duty in the backfield please keep an eye on them digging any more holes for this purpose on any areas along the fence? Quite a lot of cutlery was found in the area, presumably stolen from the canteen to aid their digging. So if staff on duty can keep an eye on students smuggling cutlery out of the canteen." Smuggling.
Daniel, have you finished?
This fence has got spikes on it and everything. That's asking
Daniel,
for a breakout.
You finished now?
No,
Daniel,
go.
Daniel Radcliffe is only 5'5".
That's news.
Yeah.
I knew he was tiny.
I didn't know he was that way. The Sun, for some reason, have got a height chart of tiny men. Napoleon's quite tall, 5'6".
Okay, that's my height. That's a perfectly adequate size.
All right, let's play Who Taller Than That. Right, Kels, you want to play Who Taller Than That? Okay, Who Taller Than That? Right?
Yeah.
And I give you people. Who taller than that? Gandhi or Prince? Who taller than that?
Prince.
You're saying Prince taller than that, and you're saying Gandhi taller than that.
Yeah.
Kelly, you win £5.
Thank you.
Gandhi taller than that.
By the way, did you find Prince?
On your windscreen? I did. Your
print screen.
Someone put a load of posters of Prince on my windscreen, and then it rained, so they were stuck to my windscreen. I couldn't get them off.
Oh, someone keeps doing that to me.
Who taller than that? Who taller than that? Queen Victoria or Prince? Who taller than that?
Prince.
Queen Victoria.
Who taller than that? You say Queen Victoria
I
taller
say
than
Queen
that, and you say
Victoria.
Prince taller than that. Catherine, Prince taller than that.
Yes, I knew if I stuck with Prince, I'd win.
It's 1-0. Okay. Who taller than that? Here's a good one. Ronnie Corbett
Oh.
or
Prince.
Harry Houdini? Who taller than that?
Well, Harry Houdini's not very tall anymore, is he?
Well, even dead men are tall.
Okay.
Ronnie Corbett or Harry Houdini? Who taller than that?
I'm going Houdini.
I'm going Ronnie Corbett.
You're going Ronnie Corbett? You plum. Ronnie Corbett's tiny!
I know.
Harry Houdini was 7'9".
No.
No, Ronnie Corbett. Harry Houdini taller than that. And finally, Prince and Ronnie Corbett. Who taller than that?
Prince.
Yeah, Prince is taller than that. Prince is a whopping 5'2". Ronnie Corbett, a mere 5'1".
Oh,
Prince is
hold hands.
There's only 1 inch between Prince and Ronnie Corbett.
Yeah, but a lot of guitar playing expertise. I love Prince. He's good, isn't he? I think he's got a bright future.
Dearie me.
He's got a new band called Third Eye Girl, and they're meant to be the best backing band in the world ever.
That's really is great. If you want to join in the flatness this morning, 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound, rather heavy moving at the moment between junction 10 at Luton Airport and junction 9 for Redbourne. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, very slow moving on the speed sensors between junction 21, the M1, and 20 at Kings Langley. There's a lane closed on the M25 heading anti-clockwise between junction 25 for Enfield and 24 at Potter's Bar, and that's through the roadworks area. Heavy moving on the North Orbital Road just off the M25 and onto the trains. Minor delays at the moment on the Metropolitan line between Rickmansworth and Amersham. That's due to signal failure. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 6:45. It's Monday the 7th of July. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. Residents say there are still unlicensed HIMOs after a mother and daughter died in 2010. Am I saying HIMOs right?
Yeah.
OK, I worry. Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation. Where does the I come from?
Don't know.
OK.
You know why.
OK. In sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Here's the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. It's looking like a quite nice day, really, across all three counties. But this afternoon, we will run the risk of a sharp shower around. Generally, they're pretty isolated and a lot of dry and fine weather at the moment. The temperatures are doing nice, so we slipped into single figures last night. But with all the sunshine we've had in the last couple of hours, we're up to 10 and 11 degrees just now. And plenty of sunshine through this morning. As I say, the risk of a shower cropping up this afternoon. And then tomorrow, a very similar story. We'll start with temperatures having slipped into into single figures in some spots. In the towns will stay around 10 or 11 degrees. And then plenty of sunshine through the first half of the day. A really good chance of picking up a shower tomorrow afternoon, and they'll be quite sharp and thundery. Wednesday should be drier though. Thursday we'll start to run the risk of some rain pushing towards us from the east. In the meantime, the temperature staying around the low 20 Celsius mark between any showers that we'll see in the next few days. So pretty settled, save for the risk of some showers, especially tomorrow afternoon.
Nick Coffer, across beds, hearts and bucks.
I'm at Bletchley Park today for a very, very important special occasion. For me, being out of the studio is about putting faces to names and bringing to life all that's brilliant about beds, hearts and bucks. If you know the high street here and you've never seen what goes on behind you really should, because it's like a whole new world.
Nick Coffer.
I think for my listeners, they get a chance to hear about places they may never have visited. In fact, they may never have heard of. And also, they hear the stories from the people that bring those places to life.
That is one of the mysteries of Abbots Langley Fire Brigade.
Nick Coffer, across beds, hearts and bucks. On BBC Three Counties Radio.
The sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Lighten up while you still can. Don't even try to understand. Just find a place to make your stand and take it easy. Well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, and such a fine sight to see. Take a look at me. Come on, baby. Don't say maybe. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. We may lose and we may win, but we will never be here again. So open up, I'm climbing in. So take it easy. The sound of your own wheels make you crazy. Come on, baby. Don't say maybe. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me.
Hang on.
Ooh, we got it easy. We ought to take it easy.
You really are a massive show-off.
Wait, I can do wicked whistling. I'm the wicked whistler of the West. Innit? I am famed for my whistling.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, can I just say, guys, I think we all owe David Icke an apology.
Because
Because-
lizards are ruling us.
Well, he shouted Savile before anybody.
He shouted a lot of people.
He shouted MPs and this Elm Guest House thing
Right.
it's in all the papers. He shouted those two before anybody. I'm just saying...
The faces are coming off soon.
I wouldn't be surprised if David Cameron turned into a lizard at some point in the near future, or indeed the Queen herself.
Let's keep an eye on that.
Let's keep an eye on that. Dealey, pick up your phone, mate. We're trying to call you to, get you on the radio and stuff. We've got a mission for you.
Deals on wheels.
Deals on wheels, haven't we, Kels?
Yep.
We've got a mission.
Got a mission. Oh, well, that's him. He's ringing back.
There we go. Okay.
Excellent.
There
He
we
is
go.
very responsive, isn't he?
He is. He certainly responds to something.
If you want this is what...
Can I just say, Dealey came in today.
I had a smooth link then.
No, I know. You can go back into... I'll give you the feed line.
Good.
Dealey said today... that was the weekend, Dealey. Oh, I felt rough on Sunday. I was really ill. I don't know what it was. I said, well, what did you do the day before? Well, I laid in the sunshine for 5 hours, then I went out and had about 13 beers. Well, I wonder.
I'm no doctor. I'm no medic. I think it might have had something to do with that.
Do your story. What was the line into
He's
it?
very responsive.
He's very responsive.
You said he responds to something.
He responds to something.
And you know what children respond to? The written word.
Oh.
Brings me into the Daily Mail, page 19.
If you want to read along at home.
If you want to read along at home, I'll tell you when I'm about to turn the page. I won't be turning the page. I'm going to read about 4 lines.
Read
Right.
along a Kath.
Right. Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
If you want your children to do as they're told, then write the instructions down.
My
say
my boys
scientists
can't read.
Let's press on. Let's assume they can read.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, my daughter's a very good reader, as we've established.
My boy uses an I instead of an E in his name. I mean, for goodness sakes.
Does he? Did you see the bill I got over the weekend? I woke up on Sunday morning. There was a bill next to my bed.
Yeah.
It was a little written note from my eldest saying, "Mummy, bill." And do you know how much it was?
Go on.
Expensive. Just said expensive on it. Anyway, but she attempted expensive, and that's what counts. That's what makes her a genius. Right. If you want your children to do as they're told, assuming they can read,
My boy
write
would
the
have written it
instructions
quicker.
down. Yeah, of course he would. With a bucket and spade in his hand.
Yeah.
The researchers have discovered that the authority of the written word, which is known to apply to adults... I hate instructions written down. When I was a student, if people left me a Post-it note, I would freeze them out. I don't respond to that. I don't do rotors.
No, okay, fair play.
The man can not write to me.
What?
The man.
What
the
man?
The man with the capital M.
Suits.
Yeah.
The suits.
As far as I'm concerned, tell me. Just talk to me, please.
All right, Catherine, I've got something to say. Maybe we'll do it after the show.
In a public place. In one case in their study involving 61 children aged 4 to 6, 3/4 of the youngsters were more likely to obey print-based instructions than spoken ones. It's going to end up like Cuba. I went to a Cuban cigar factory, right?
Where has she gone with this?
Cuban cigar factory. All over the walls it says things like, "Working is great for you."
Goodness sakes.
And they used to read books to them. Do you know why they're called Romeo and Julietas, for example, some of the cigars? Because that's what they were having read to them. They were trying to educate them while they worked.
Justin?
Leave it out.
Morning,
Justin,
boss.
Where's she gone with this?
Oh, I've got no idea, boss.
Communist Cuba, that's where.
Right.
How have we gone from helping your children, learn to follow instructions to communist Cuba?
Why are we writing things down? Go.
You're a class act.
Are you feeling a bit better, Just?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Bit poorly, weren't you, at the weekend?
Yes. It was a heavy evening on Friday. It was Dutch Stew's birthday party.
Is it?
Dutch stew?
Dutch Stew, yes.
Dutch stew?
Yeah,
You say Dutch Jew? I think,
no,
oh, for goodness sakes, calm down.
Dutch Stew.
Dutch Stew?
Yes, he's from Holland. He's Dutch.
Is his name Stew?
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
Good.
a funny name for a Dutchman.
It should be ironic. Well, the ironic
My
nicknames.
friend's Dutch and his name's Date, which sounds like a foreign name.
Dutch Date.
Date.
My friend at school was called Slim. He was fat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My husband's nickname was Skinny. He was skinny.
I know somebody
He's not
called
anymore.
Fat Boy Fat.
Fat Boy Fat?
Yeah.
Is he a DJ?
No.
Now, Justin.
Yes, boss.
We're going to be talking later on. How was your show this weekend?
Very good. Yeah. Very slick. Yeah.
Did you hear any of Tony Blackburn's show this weekend?
Yes, I did.
Good?
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
Yeah, interesting.
He's on BBC Three Counties Radio now, which is excellent stuff indeed.
Sunday mornings, 9 to 11.
Beautiful. He tells it as it is.
He does, yeah.
Catherine, what is this story we're doing at 10 to 8?
There's a really polite train dispatcher at St Albans Station who's been taking the internet by literally by storm. Not literally by storm. That would be impossible.
He's got viruses.
Yeah, he's gone viral. So, because he is a very polite man and he says nice things to people as they stand on the platform, feeling a bit like us this morning, a bit flat and Monday-ish.
Are you feeling flat, Just?
Not really. No, not today. I met Kid Creole yesterday. I'm feeling good.
Okay, wow.
So, I'm just wondering, I think St Albans train station, yeah, you'll probably get quite a nice sort of commuter. I'm wondering how people would respond in a a Luton bus queue.
Ooh. Yeah, no problem.
Go and try and entertain and cheer people up, Justin.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to get some feedback and comps for James Allen, who's going to be live on the show
James
a bit later
Allen,
on,
that's the fella.
from St Albans. And then, yes, I shall go to a bus stop in Luton and try and be polite on a Monday morning, and I shall just see what happens. I think I know what's going to happen, but let me put this to the test before I say anything negative.
Just for guidance, what James does is he gets on his... We haven't got a thingy. I was going to get you one.
A tetraphone. Megaphone.
I haven't got one. You'll have to pretend. Put your hands to
Talk like this. Hi guys, good morning, it's Monday. I'm Justin, how are you feeling?
Exactly, that's what he does. He says, good morning, can I tell you how wonderful it is to see you all this morning? You people really do make my day. You're the only reason I come to work, and stuff like that.
Yes.
Now, listen, we're going to speak to James in an hour. I'm looking forward to talking to him. I hear he's a very, very nice chap, and this cheers a lot of people up. This would not cheer me up.
Why would it not cheer you up?
Oh, when train drivers and people like that start telling jokes and making announcements that are funny. Oh, no, thank you.
But why is that? Because you're quite a fun, happy guy. I don't get it.
Well, yeah.
Come on. Walter Matthau.
Is it because they're funnier and happier than you? Is it an ego thing?
No, it's not an ego thing.
It's an ego thing, isn't it?
No, it's not an ego thing. Where's the ego in just do your job, guys?
Because somebody like him might be getting a bit more attention than you on that particular day. Is that what it is? Oh, I think I've hit a nerve.
Oh, Justin, we're losing the line, mate.
Right.
Just?
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, we've lost the line. Oh, dear, that's a shame. It's not an attention
True what he says, though, isn't it?
Hey, I didn't get to bang on about my weekend.
Oh, go on, quick.
No,
You've got 30 seconds.
I'll do it a bit. I went somewhere, we had a lot of fun, it was half expensive, and got shouted at by a woman. Say a woman, a child.
Right, this is someone who worked at a place where it was supposed to be a visitor attraction. Right?
Yeah.
I still remember being told off by someone like that from years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think children do take it
I'll
to
tell
heart.
you where and what was said in a little bit.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Building up now on the Great North Road heading southbound just before the Black Cat roundabout. The M1's looking very heavy on the speed sensors heading southbound between junction 14 for Milton Keynes and junction 13 for Salford Road. The M25 very slow heading anti-clockwise between 21 the M1 and junction 20 for Kings Langley. Also very heavy on the North Orbital Road just off the M25, and minor delays on the Metropolitan line between Rickmansworth and Amersham. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I was out with my boys at the weekend at a great... 2/3 of it were great. A third of it, not so great. Well expensive, and then we got shouted at by a woman in her early 20s. Well, let me tell you, I didn't stand for that. I mean, yes, technically she was in the right, but there are ways and means of dealing with mistakes. Anyway, I'll tell you where it was in a little bit. 08459 455 555. Let's get the news and sport now. Here's Simon Oxley.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. The headlines. Residents' fears for another Fishermead fire. Woman raped during burglary at her Buckinghamshire home. And Silverstone triumph for Lewis Hamilton.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. In 2010, a mother and daughter lost their lives in a HIMO. The landlord was sent to prison for 4 months. Terry Baines, who chairs Fishermead Residents Association, told this programme there have been improvements, but dangers remain.
There are definitely HIMOs on this estate that are not licensed, haven't got planning permission, are unregulated, with scrupulous landlords, where we could end up with another Fishermead Boulevard with deaths.
Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home while it was being burgled. 2 men raided the victim's house near Olney during the early hours of Saturday. The woman, who's in her 50s, said she was raped by one man while the other searched her home and stole cash, credit cards and jewellery. The Home Secretary Theresa May will make a statement to MPs today amid growing criticism of the way her department has handled allegations of historical child abuse. Yesterday, the former Conservative Cabinet Minister Lord Tebbit said there may have been a cover-up of claims that politicians at Westminster were involved in paedophile activity. The Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated. Ashley Brown was dismissed for discussing strike action over pensions on Twitter. More from Matt Lockwood.
The FBU says Mr Brown was sacked just before Christmas last year. Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service said the tweets amounted to gross misconduct. Mr Brown denied this and an appeal against his dismissal was rejected. An online petition in support of Mr Brown's attracted over 4,000 signatures. The case is now due to be heard before an employment tribunal in September.
Government ministers will travel across the country today, highlighting £12 billion worth of local investment projects over the next 6 years. In this area, it includes £22.5 million to dual the A421 from Milton Keynes to junction 13 of the M1, and £10 million for Bedfordshire's Woodside Link, a new road which will connect Houghton Regis and the industrial estates in Dunstable to the planned new M1 junction 11A. In sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Out of the final corner he comes. Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. His second win at Silverstone, his fifth of this 2014 season. It's a huge boost to his championship hopes. And finally, something to smile about for Britain in this summer of sport.
The Hertfordshire driver now just 4 points behind teammate and championship leader Nico Rosberg, who failed to finish. And it's the third stage of the Tour de France from Cambridge to London, with the riders heading down the Hertfordshire-Essex border on their way to the capital. The weather starting dry with sunny spells, but with scattered showers this afternoon, which could turn heavy. A maximum temperature 22 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's a great community. A lot of green spaces for kids to play.
And all this week we're featuring Fishermead.
I like it when I see people looking after it, see them develop in the parks for the little ones.
It's all about where you live.
I've lived in Fishermead since 79.
Yeah, the community spirit's good and alive and kicking. There's a lot of good people here.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Monday. Got that I don't normally get the Monday feeling. I've got the Monday feeling. Thank you. I've got the Monday feeling this morning. Maybe it's because it was a little bit darker as I drove in. Yeah, we're on the wane. We were on the wax, now we're on the wane. Anyway, don't let my personal midlife crises spoil your morning. Lots to talk about. If you want to give us a call, you can. Some of the stuff we've got, including 4 years after a fatal fire, fears there's still dangerous housing in Fishermead. 1,000-sign petition in support for firemen sacked for tweeting. And a gentleman you may be familiar with if you use St Albans Station. We'll be speaking to James Allen a bit later on, who brightens people's days by, doing fun and frivolous announcements. Well, would that entertain you or get on your wick? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is it, I've got it. I don't like, Catherine.
Yes? You don't like me?
There was a full stop there. No, OK, that went down well. I don't like forced jollity.
No.
Forced joviality.
That's why I don't like stand-up.
Yeah, it is. I don't like it. Right, we're all going. I tell you why. It goes back to a teacher who hated me until I got on the telly. Then she wrote me a letter, and I took great pride in not replying to that letter. I regret that now.
Oh.
But we went on a school trip, and she said to a coach load of 13-year-old kids, "You will enjoy yourselves."
Was she doing a teacherly joke?
No, she meant it. She meant you will enjoy yourselves at this rubbish thing, to the point where inside I went, I'm never going to enjoy anything I'm meant to enjoy ever again. That'll learn you, Mrs. B.
I don't like New Year's Eve for that reason.
Oh, I hate New Year's Eve. What's the point of New Year's Eve?
Well, it's wiping away everything you've achieved during the year.
Yeah.
And you're all supposed to have a really great time. No, I'm going to bed. Night.
Can I come with you? Because that sounds awesome. I hate New Year's Eve. I've never enjoyed it. Hey guys, should we go to a pub? No.
Let's watch Jules and all his mates have a party and get a bit drunk.
Yeah, no, let's not bother. Let's not bother. Forced jollity, it really is not for me. But maybe you like that kind of stuff. Maybe you like it when you get funny announcements on train stations. Maybe, and James Adams is supposed to be a lovely chap, and we'll have a chat with him. And maybe you think I'm being bar humbug Scrooge-like in my attitude. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just getting a pep talk there. Thank you. Now, this week, the big tour focuses on Fishermead and Milton Keynes, where people are telling us how worried they are about the way some residents are living. In 2010, a mother and her young daughter died in a house fire. It later transpired they'd been living in an unlicensed house of multiple occupation, or a HIMO. The property had no escape routes or sprinklers, and the landlord was eventually sent to prison for 4 months. The coroner at the time warned that unless there was a crackdown, it could happen again. But 4 years on, people living in Fishermead feel that nothing has changed. Well, Kevin Wilson is councillor for Woughton and Fishermead. He's also a member of the Bucks Fire and Rescue Committee. Good morning to you, Kevin. First of all, for those who don't know, what constitutes a HIMO?
Well, housing multiple occupation, as it's called, is a house where several families live in the same property. That's basically the definition of a HIMO. There are different regulations concerning the size and height of the property, but basically that's the case.
So how is that different from flats?
Well, flats are, each property is self-contained. We're talking here about single properties which have been subdivided into different bedrooms, if you will, so people are sharing the same property.
Do properties have to have planning permission before being converted into HIMOs?
In most cases, yes, but of course, as you possibly know in relation to planning, it isn't illegal to do something without planning permission. The danger is, of course, you risk enforcement action. And there are certainly suggestions that there are a number of HIMOs on Fishermead in particular, but elsewhere in Milton Keynes, but especially on Fishermead, which do not have the relevant planning permission that's required.
So as well as having some form of planning permission, they need licensing as well, don't they?
Again, yes, the details of that are quite obscure, but in essence they do, again, depending upon their size and scope. It's not quite as simple an equation as one would wish.
So what are your main concerns when it comes to HIMOs in Fishermead?
Well, I mean, first of all, it has to be said that houses in multiple occupation are not unique to Fishermead or indeed to Milton Keynes. They're found throughout the whole country. And in some cases, of course, they do provide good standard of living for many people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford anything else. But there are concerns about both the density of them. There's certainly concerns that some of them are badly run, and there are issues potentially about fire safety and all of those concerns. And there are concerns about some antisocial behaviour and parking and other things. But Fishermead is a particularly interesting place because there's a very, very large concentration of houses in multiple occupation in that estate, and there's no doubt a lot of residents feel quite uneasy about that. And it's certainly true that concentration isn't found elsewhere in Milton Keynes to the same extent.
We spoke to Terry Baines, who chairs the Fishermead Residents Association. He said he's been to the council with a list of places that are these houses of multiple occupancy and are illegal ones, and he's been ignored.
Well, I don't know about ignored. But certainly there are concerns about houses which may be in multiple occupation, which the council doesn't know about. They are being investigated, and I have assurances that is always the case.
He says he's presented a list and nothing's been done about it. And sometimes people knock on the door, say, is this a house of multiple occupancy? No, it's not. Oh, OK then, and they leave it at that. Is the council thorough enough?
It's always the case that sometimes it's terribly difficult. Some houses, for instance, that people think are in houses in multiple occupation actually are not. It's a single family. That might be a large and diverse family, but it's a single family. So it's not always easy to come to an exact certainty as to whether a house is in multiple occupation or not. But it's absolutely the case that the council must get to the bottom of this and must do so quickly and expediently. We cannot have any risks about properties which could be dangerous, where there's a fire risk and other things, and simply leave it in abeyance.
So what is the council doing, Kevin?
Well, the council is investigating. The council is also considering further reports. You recognise this as further reports, yes, coming to Cabinet in the next month or two to see if we can't join up our licensing and planning policies in a much better way, to make sure, in a sense, that we get to the bottom of this, to make sure that we do root out any rogue landlords and problems, because the local residents are rightly concerned, and we want to make sure that we give them every assurance that we're doing everything we possibly can.
What investigations are you undertaking?
Well, investigations do involve exactly what you're saying, by going to the properties, by talking to
do you go into the properties?
Well, as and when and if we have a legal right to go into properties, right. We can't slam through doors and things of that nature.
But so even if you suspect that they're unlicensed?
If we suspect they're unlicensed, we'll make whatever investigations we can to try and uncover the situation.
And does that mean going in?
Well, we don't have the right.
Even if you suspect they're unlicensed?
We don't have the right to enter properties without court authorisation, for instance.
So it could be you turn up at a house...
We have to be quite careful about this.
It could be, Kevin, as I just said, that you turn up at a house, knock on the door, is this a HIMO? No, it's not. Thanks very much.
I think that there is every possibility that some of that might be occurring. We've got to make sure that we do everything we possibly can legally to make sure that doesn't happen. That's why, in a sense, we want to just make sure that we are doing everything that we possibly could do, that we are addressing the problem as residents would wish us to address them.
But so what are you... I'm still confused, Kevin. What are you doing then? Your investigations, if you can't go into the properties, if people who have got these unlicensed HIMOs can send you away with a flea in your ear, what are you doing?
Well, what I'm saying is that what we are doing is everything that we legally can.
Which is?
Which is we are making investigations through various sources.
What kind of sources?
Well, I already said to you, you're talking to neighbours. If neighbours have got information and evidence, it's a question of trying to build up the evidence that's required as to whether licensing or planning is necessary, whether enforcement action can be taken, and a whole range of other things.
But if neighbours have got evidence, you can't go in and check, can you?
I accept entirely. It's not an easy thing to do, and I just want to make sure that if there's anything further that we could be doing, that we do it. And I'm not suggesting everything's rosy at the moment by any means, and I'm certainly not suggesting that the concerns of a number of residents aren't real. They are, and they're genuine. And
I'm just confused as to what you can do, Kevin, and what you are doing. Because if a neighbour says, "Oh, there's loads of people, 17 people living next door," you can't go in. So what can you do?
Well,
when was the last time someone was prosecuted for this?
That's a good question. And I must be honest, I haven't got that information readily to hand.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while, and there are definitely concerns about it. What we do know is that quite a number of these people do make planning applications, and we have been refusing quite a lot of them recently. So there is some evidence that the council is taking a very different stance and position than it used to take in the past.
Kevin, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Kevin Wilson, councillor for Woughton and Fishermead. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. We can all write reports. Does a report get anything done? And listen, they're in a tough position. Of course they are. But I did like the line, we're investigating and doing as much as you can. Well, what are you doing? I don't think I heard a clear answer.
Take us back a few years when this tragic these two tragic deaths.
4 years
happened.
ago.
Yeah, and there was a lot of strident talk about how we won't allow these people to continue exploiting and making people live in dangerous situations. There was a lot of sort of tub thumping about it. It's all gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
I don't get it. If you think there are 5, 7, 17 people living in a flat and you knock on the door and they can just say, no, it's just me and my wife...
But surely...
They can't do anything about
surely
it.
you can check through the council tax and benefits information, surely.
Well, I wouldn't have thought the council tax would have been registered properly necessarily, but the benefits possibly.
See how many people are living somewhere.
08459 455 555. BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel news now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1, the Great North Road, looking rather heavy heading southbound from before the Black Cat roundabout. The M1's looking very slow heading southbound between junction 14 for Milton Keynes and junction 13 for Salford Road. Also the A1M looking rather heavy heading southbound around junction 7 for Stevenage. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise rather heavy between 21 the M1 and 20 Kings Langley. On the trains, minor delays on the Metropolitan line between Rickmansworth and Amersham. That's due to signal failure. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
That's you! That's you in a nutshell. 7:16. It's Monday the 7th of July. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home in Olney while it was being burgled. And in sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
BBC Three Counties Radio. BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
People are lovely. There's a lot of people who've lived here a long, long time.
We are up and coming and hopefully getting more and more friendly.
And all this week we're featuring Fishermead.
Community spirit's good and alive and kicking.
We've got our community garden here that's flourishing.
Inviting everyone to where you live.
Friendly estate where people care about each other.
Yeah, I've got a good community and they all look after each other.
If you've got a story everyone should hear about, let us tell them about it.
It's my home at the end of the day, and if I move, I'll be back.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
I love Fishermead.
From BBC Three Counties Radio. Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I swore in the studio just then, very loudly, and for a millisecond I lived in a world where I looked down and the microphone fader was open, the microphone was on. It wasn't, but I had that heart-stopping, stomach-sinking moment of, oh my God, my career's over.
And let that be a lesson. No.
What was it you said?
Don't ask him that.
No.
Oh.
Very...
Why did you swear for?
Why did you swear for?
I'm so
What
flat.
did you swear for?
I'm so flat this morning. I'm struggling to get it up this morning. I really am. I'm just flat.
What can we do?
Get your dander up, you mean?
Yeah, my dander. My pecker. Can't get my pecker up.
How can we help?
Or your chin.
My chin is up.
Why the long face?
What?
Oh.
I'm not Christian O'Connell or a horse or Celine Dion, unless you're saying I look like one of those.
You like a horse Celine Dion O'Connell.
Right, that's fighting talk where I come from, guys. That's fighting talk. Now, an online petition calling for a Hertfordshire firefighter to be given his job back after comments he made on Twitter has attracted over 4,000 signatures. Ashley Brown was dismissed on a charge of gross misconduct for tweets discussing strike action over pensions. Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service claim his comments were threatening in nature and, quotes, may have brought Hertfordshire County Council into disrepute. We can speak now to Keith Hanscombe from the East Anglia branch of the Fire Brigades Union. Keith, you've been involved in the campaign to get Ashley reinstated. What were the nature of Ashley's tweets?
Good morning. Well, yes, the nature of them were about the strike, but obviously I can't actually talk about the details of those because they're still subject to a sort of appeal and employment tribunal. But the claim that they were threatening in nature is interesting since there's no threats made in them to any people or individuals or named people. There's been no complaints received by the service, and there's no sort of reference being made to the police or any other party.
No threats to specifics. Were they just generally threatening?
No, they weren't threatening at all in any way, in my view, nor in our solicitor's view, and importantly, not in the view of his own MP, the Conservative MP, Mr Walker. He's seen them, and he said it's ridiculous that someone who's given 25 years exemplary service to Hertfordshire people should be sacked for tweets that he thinks are innocuous.
So they weren't threatening. Did they contain aggressive or sweary language?
Well, I think the important bit here, and I think it's what we're all very, very conscious of, is that because it was the early stages of back in December, the early stages of the dispute, the national strike over firefighter pensions, that I think there's a lot of tension around. So I think we...
So yes.
No, I'm not saying there was any abusive language in there at all.
Was there any abusive language in there?
Well, I can't quote on anything. That's
I'm not asking you to quote. I'm just asking, were there swear words in there?
I can't comment on what's in the tweets. There's a very, very clear legal bit. I did explain to research.
No, I know. And you've already said they weren't aggressive, though. So you've commented on the tone, and that's all we're asking for. I suspect, Keith, that you would tell me if there weren't swear words in there. Is that correct?
No, I don't think I would. I wouldn't comment at all because for legal reasons. But importantly, his own MP's seen them, and he thinks it's ridiculous he's been sacked for them.
Okay. I'm making up that there were swear words in there. Would that be correct?
Well, I can't answer that question. You can ask as many times as you like. I won't answer that question.
OK. What's the rule about firefighters commenting on disputes during strike action?
Well, it's interesting because in the fire service we're expected to hold, for some strange reason, a much higher standard of behaviour when we're off duty, let alone on duty. And so we get treated, unfortunately, a bit differently. And there's been a number of cases recently around disputes where the employer, the fire service themselves, have tried to clamp down on any speaking out at all. So I think that's one of the issues. There's a fundamental breach of human rights in this as well, because anything that you and I could say, actually, the comments that were in those tweets would be acceptable in any place.
I don't know what the comments were. And the thing is, though, I don't think that's true, particularly not on Twitter, is it? Because we do hear of people who are suspended or sacked because of comments they've made about their employer on Facebook or Twitter. It's a different world to what it was 5-10 years ago, isn't it?
I agree with that as well, and there's no comments made at all about the employer. Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service nor Hertfordshire County Council are mentioned at all in those tweets.
OK, well, again, there are people who've been sacked or suspended because of comments they've made about work conditions or, political strike action.
Well, I'm not sure there's been many of those, no, because most people actually have a right to make comment about things that they do in their lives and also political comment. It's different when you're at work.
It's a real shame I've not got the tweets, and I know you can't go into specifics, but you have me at a disadvantage here because I don't know what they say, so I can't make any judgment on them.
No. You're right, you can't, and but the home Conservative MP, so it's very unusual, wouldn't you say, that a Conservative MP, a trade union, and thousands of firefighters are all sort of making the same comment, and particularly the ones who have seen those tweets are very clear about they think it's completely unfair for someone who's served 25 years with an exemplary career, who's also father served for a lifetime in the fire service around his uncle.
Well, that's
no blemish at all.
Keith,
a few tweets.
Keith, with greatest respect, is what his father did for a job has got no relevance to this at all. The Broxbourne MP, Charles Walker, said that these tweets, quote, weren't a hanging offence. He didn't say that they weren't offensive or anything like that, did he?
He says he's made several comments actually about them not being worthy of sacking. That he saw them as innocuous, and I think there's one of the bits of judgments. I think whether someone's worth being sacked for things that they say, and compared to somebody who should actually have some other sanction, maybe. I think it's the kind of bit where you work in a service and you give that kind of commitment to the community that ought to be taken into account.
What impact has this dismissal had on Ashley and his family?
It's been pretty devastating for him, unfortunately. I'm pleased to say that the firefighters and members of the public around Cheshunt have been collecting money for him, been sending donations to him to try and help him survive. But his 3 children, his wife, there's health issues in his family, and he's also the main carer for his dad, who unfortunately during this episode has also passed away.
You're hoping that Ashley's case can be settled before it gets to the employment tribunal. What steps are you trying to take to achieve this?
Well, we've been lobbying the council, and we've got a chance for the council to make a decision about this next week. Effectively, we just asked them to relook at the case themselves as elected members. We understand that managers, in those times, I say, sensitive times when you've got strike action looming, that let the councils have a look at it, see if it's with a fresh set of eyes and see what they think. If a Conservative MP thinks that the punishment's been too harsh, we hope they will intervene and perhaps look at the case and perhaps reinstate Ashley.
And if this fresh set of eyes agrees with the original decision?
Well, then it goes to the employment tribunal, and the employment tribunal decide it's unfair. But I think that given the length of service that Ashley's given, without saying not a single blemish on his career to that point, I think as a reasonable employer, the council would like to look at it, take a look. If they still feel it's justified, well, that's their decision. But I think that many people, and we certainly believe that they may well change their mind.
There is a danger, isn't there, Keith? You lot have got a lot of strikes coming up soon. Is Ashley turning into a political hot potato?
Well, that's the bit that's very difficult, man. We hope it isn't, and that's the problem, I suspect, and I think this might be what's been difficult. Imagine being a manager, listening to such a case at the time at the start of the dispute. I can see how that would make it very difficult to make judgments that you would perhaps make differently at different time. And so I'm very keen to not be political. This is about a firefighter who gave 25 years service, got a family of 3, health issues in the family and financial issues in the family. He says some things because his own pension is being robbed from him. And so
well, Keith, hang on. You've just said you don't want this to be political, and then you've just used incendiary language, haven't you, by saying he doesn't want his pension to be robbed from him. That's a political statement.
That is a political statement. It's also very much how Ashley feels.
I know, but you've just said you don't want this to be a political thing, and yet you are using political language.
Yes, I might have used political language there, but for Ashley, if his pension's being massively reduced and he's got those commitments, would you feel a little bit incensed by that? And are you likely to make comments on Twitter about a strike that you're taking part in?
But it does sound a little bit like a manifesto, though, Keith. The case with Ashley is surely one thing, but then to start introducing political language shortly before a huge strike that you lot are going to undertake again, I just worry that Ashley's being used as a poster boy for this strike.
Well, we've been very quietly and discreetly lobbying councillors for a number of months. We've been speaking to the MP and other people. We've kept it out of the press largely. In fact, it was Mr Walker who first went to press with it. And we're very pleased with the support we've had. We've been trying to keep it very low-key because it is...
Well, you've got a petition with over 4,000 signatures. With the greatest respect, you've come on the radio, so it's not that low-key.
It's because after several months, there's been no reaction from the fire authority at all. They've actually been, the county council have been sort of sidestepping the issue, and they prevented it from actually, for good reason, for the constitution of their committee. They wouldn't allow it at the last committee meeting.
And so just before the strike, you come out with it?
What, just before the strike? No, just because we're a week away from the full county council meeting. Okay. When else would we come out with it?
Keith, I appreciate your time. It's a fascinating story. Thank you very much, Keith Hanscom, East Anglia branch of the Fire Brigades Union.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's interesting. I'm trying to think. There would be certain things, Catherine, that if I said on Twitter, I would get the sack for.
Yeah. And you can write as much as you like my views, not the views of my employer, but you have to be so careful.
We've had the legal training, writing all views expressed on here are mine, not those of the BBC, don't count for nothing. No. It's like saying allegedly. It's like saying Catherine Ball's a murderer. Allegedly, that don't cover you in a court of law.
Plus, there was no proof.
Well, you say that.
I made sure. Sorry.
I just do. You do, and it is. It is changing so much, very quickly, that you've got to be careful what you say on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm trying to think of what I would have to say on Twitter to get this out. I certainly I got suspended at Absolute Radio for saying something about a company on there that turned out was one of the biggest... Massive sponsor. And I didn't realise, and they'd muffed up my boiler. It was British Gas. They muffed up my boiler. I slagged them off on Twitter. I got hauled over the coals and suspended for 2 weeks. Sans pay.
The other thing is, the more followers you have, the more power you have, as far as people are concerned. So the more they'll come down on you like a ton of bricks.
You have to be so careful what you say on Twitter, and whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But you do have to be really, really careful. 08459 455 555 if you want to have your say on that.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound, looking very heavy on the sensors between 14 at Milton Keynes and junction 13 for Salford Road. Also looking rather heavy on the M1 between junction 11 at Dunstable Road and junction 9 for Redbourne. The A1M's looking rather heavy heading southbound at junction 7 for Stevenage. And the A41, there's a lane closed from Hemel Kings to the M25 at junction 21 for Kings Langley. Queues back to almost at Chesham. That's due to some resurfacing work that's taking place there. Take a look at the M25, that's queuing heading anti-clockwise between junction 21, the M1 and junction 20 at Kings Langley. And minor delays on the Metropolitan line between Rickmansworth and Amersham, and that's due to some signal failure. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. In 2010, a mother and daughter lost their lives in a HIMO and the landlord was sent to prison for 4 months. Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home while it was being burgled. 2 men raided the victim's house near Olney during the early hours of Saturday. And the Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated. Ashley Brown was dismissed for discussing strike action over pensions on Twitter. An online petition backing his case has over 4,000 signatures.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. The Hertfordshire driver is now just 4 points behind teammate and championship leader Nico Rosberg, who failed to finish.
Starting back there made it so much harder for myself, but to wiggle my way through and then catching Nico, really felt that I had the pace to race with him. I was looking forward to that race, I was really, really looking forward to that battle, to get the win, to hold the trophy up on the podium. Really grateful, thankful for the fans.
And for the Milton Keynes Red Bull team, Daniel Ricciardo was third and Sebastian Vettel fifth. It's the third stage today of the Tour de France from Cambridge to London, with the riders heading down the Hertfordshire-Essex border on their way to the capital after 2 memorable days in Yorkshire. Here's Team Sky principal Sir Dave Brailsford.
To think that there's that many people come out for a sporting event and a cycling sporting event in Yorkshire is for a French race, basically, it's incredible, really. And it kind of took your breath away, it really did. And you think, well, this is going to finish in a minute, and it didn't. There was just a wall of people all the way around.
Novak Djokovic won the Wimbledon title after a thrilling 5-set victory over Roger Federer.
After losing several Grand Slam finals in a row, started, of course, doubting a little bit, and I needed this win a lot. I'm going to try to use it in the best possible way and for my confidence to grow for the rest of the season and rest of my career.
In football, Luton have confirmed the signing of experienced right-back Paul Connolly to fill the gap left by Ronnie Henry's departure. 30-year-old Connolly has previously been at Plymouth, Derby and Leeds and ended last season at Crawley. And in cricket's Minor Counties Championship, it's day 2 of 3 at Harpenden. Hertfordshire are 82 for 2 in reply to Norfolk's 197. Bedfordshire declared on 276 for 9 away to Cumberland. The hosts are 110 for 1 in reply, and Buckinghamshire are 254 for 4 away to Suffolk. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Travel news for beds,
guys,
and bugs.
This is what happens.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hang on. I'm going to stop this. Hang on. Oh no, that's not on. Hang on. Oh no, stop that. Hang on. This is why you shouldn't shout in my ear, Kelly. It puts me right off. Hang on.
Well, I'd like to know what difference it's going to make, full stop, because the teachers always seem to be going on strike. They seem to go on strike every 5 minutes. And
morning, Ian. This is Kelly's nan. I'd like to ask you to stop getting on to her and insulting her.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Hang on.
Don't know.
This is just a mess.
You mean it.
Press stop!
I'm trying to!
Shall I come in there?
No, I got it.
Press it!
I got it. Hang on.
Shaka-laka boom boom. There we go.
Well, Sue Clark is chairing the action group against turbines and joins.
I can't stop the flipping computer!
Turbines.
If you're just waking up, normal service will be resumed.
Have you ever seen a cat when it gets into its basket? It'll turn and it's going to stick its paws into the bottom. Right, and it sounds when it gets on your lap and it digs its paws into your leg.
Let this one finish, I'm there.
To sleep on a snake.
There we go, all right.
Okay, that didn't happen.
Oh, blimey, what was going on there? This is what. Tell her not to shout abuse in my ear.
Kelly.
Yes, Kelly's. That was all.
It's not her fault. You were pressing it.
No, yeah, that's Kelly's fault. She prompted a reflex.
Hello.
You don't shout in my ear when I'm about to press a button.
I was trying to wake you up.
It's too late for that.
You were asleep during that bulletin.
It's too late
no
for that.
offence, Simon.
Well, no offence. No. Full stop. Offence. Exclamation mark.
Quick, talk to Ian.
Oh, blimey. Morning, Ian.
Morning, Ian. How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. You've called in with something quite serious. What have you called in with?
There's been an accident on the M1. I'm right next to it now. It's northbound, just at the turning for Luton Airport, and there's 3 lorries and a car involved.
Oh, blimey.
It doesn't look too serious, but it's going to cause big problems for the next half hour or
Junction 10, is that?
It's junction 10, yeah, just about 100 yards north of the slip road. Yeah, for one of the foreign lorries.
Does it look like anyone's hurt or anything, Ian?
It looks like they're all out and they're okay, but it's just they've got to move the lorries and things like that. So.
Oh, I bet it's starting to build up already.
It is already, yeah.
Ian, thank you very much. So northbound, M1, junction 10. Avoid if you can, guys, if you can. Thank you, Ian.
Kelly's just phoning. That's through to travel, so...
Let's listen.
Oh, sorry, let me just... Ian?
Yes?
Did he say what was blocked?
Yeah, the M1.
Which lane?
Junction 10.
Which lane?
The whole motorway. Oh, hang on. Ian?
Oh, he's gone.
He's gone. The whole motorway is blocked. There's been an accident.
So, the whole motorway...
See, this is how specific we are.
Yeah.
With the travel.
He's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
The caller was called Ian, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
he was called Ian.
Bye.
That was weird, wasn't it?
What? Someone called Ian? I always find that weird. It's weird. If you're in a room with 13 people, the odds are that someone in that room will have the same birthday as you. Deal with them facts.
Oh, that's... Well...
Something like that.
I used to live next door to someone in the halls of residence where I was.
Yeah.
Who was called Catherine Boyle.
Hey!
Ooh.
I know...
She nearly missed a date with her future husband because of me.
Because you were busy.
Playing the sax? Trombone?
No, because he knocked on my door and I'd gone out and he thought he'd been stood up.
Oh, blimey. You wouldn't have stood him up. Was he a dish?
No, she could have him.
Name confusions. Call me now. 459 455. I once met another Kelly Betts.
Yeah.
And we spoke on the phone and I was like, oh, let's meet. And we met up and I was expecting her to be the exact same height, same size, everything. Got there and she was really tall with brown curly hair and I was like, oh, you're not me.
Why would you meet up someone just because they're the same name as you? You're not Dave Gorman.
No, we thought we were related.
That's boring,
what are your parents' names? She also had a fella called James.
Right.
She lives in Hemel.
Right.
I was like, is your mum called Janet? She went, no. I was like, oh.
Oh, we're not the same person.
Oh, I really was hoping for that.
There was also a girl in my hall's residence called Lick Men.
Is that her full name?
Yeah. The poor girl.
So first name was Lick, last name Men.
I don't know whether it was just the full... she's Chinese, so I don't know how it works. But she used to get some awful things written on her door. And she was really sweet and quiet.
Yeah,
I felt so sorry for her.
Always are.
Poor old Lick Men.
Lick Men. Well, yeah, OK. I just stopped myself from getting the sack then. Just stopped myself. You all right, Kath? What abuse did you give her?
None. I just felt sorry for her. She carried her handbag in a very dainty way. She didn't deserve it.
Did she? No.
She's a proper lady.
Did she lick men?
Certainly not.
No.
Anyway, it was no one's business.
She did then.
Oh, dearie me. If this were 10 o'clock at night, we'd now be doing phone in with your rude names. It's not, so don't. I've told you about Wayne, haven't I?
Yeah.
It's true. Very devout Christian family, the Kings. Now, I'm going to do the front page. What I don't get, here's what I don't get about names.
I think the registrar should intervene.
I think so. I don't get people who've got the same first name and the same surname.
Oh, yeah. Like Neville.
Yeah, Neville. When I bought my first flat, OK, we were deceived by the estate agent in that she was hot. Feeling hot.
No, you weren't deceived. You were led by not your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Your own fault.
So, and when I agreed that I wanted to buy it, didn't see that girl ever again. I think she may have been a ghost. Instead, we saw a gentleman called Felix. And Felix was very nice, and he sorted out all the boring stuff. I'd never bought a house before, right? So I'm in the flat, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, but she wasn't there. And we decided we were going to buy it. And we didn't speak to any grown-ups about how you buy a flat. So we're in the flat. It's like our fifth viewing. The flat's been on the market for about 8 months. No one's been interested. So we could have got it right down. And I went, yep, OK, we'll take it. And you could just see him going, idiot. And he said, OK. I said, can we get $5,000 off the price? He went, no, I don't think so. OK. What an idiot. It's a game of poker. So we paid the full price. Anyway, this gentleman called Felix was fine. And then I went round to get the keys. Everything had been signed and sealed. Went round to get the keys. I shook his hand. First things first. He had no middle fingers. Or was it thumbs? He was missing... Maybe it was thumbs or middle fingers on either hand.
Right.
That's weird. And then we saw a document. Well, come on. It's not the norm.
Yeah, but it's not it's not a sign of anything sinister, is it?
Well, who knows? And then we saw the document. letter signed from Felix. First name, last name, Felix. He was Felix. Why would you do that?
That means happy, doesn't it?
Does it?
He was happy when he found you. Flipping heck.
Yeah, I know, exactly. He would have been happy when he found Lick Men as well.
There was a boy I heard in the paper the other day, and his first names...
Yeah.
His first names, if they decide to hyphenate. You know, sometimes people can't decide.
Oh, yeah.
John Thomas.
Oh.
A baby called John Thomas. Now, at that stage, if you're the registrar, you've got to say something, haven't you?
You know, just to let you know, this name does mean Willie. Yeah, this name means Willie.
Are you happy for that for the rest of his life?
If I was registrar, I would make them have silly names.
I don't think the registrar has that power.
Yeah, but you know.
Registrars, if you're a registrar, can you not talk them down sometimes? Because, you know...
In some countries, it's illegal to have stupid names. Like, you can't be called Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a character in a movie. Obi-Wan Kenobi. What's wrong with that? Kelly?
Nothing.
He's Skywalker's teacher, isn't he, Obi-Wan Kenobi?
In France, up to fairly recently, you had to have one out of an official book.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Francois, fine. Obi-Wan Kenobi, forget it.
What's wrong with Kelly? They've had to halt filming on the new Star Wars film because of Harrison Ford.
Well, yeah, they've got to wait for him to heal, haven't they?
Got to wait for him to heal. Use the Force. Is Obi-Wan Kenobi in this one? I don't really know the Star Wars...
He should be in it, shouldn't he?
History.
He should be in it. Oh, no, he's dead.
That's what I thought.
But he can still be in it, can't he? They
Ghost.
can use holograms and that.
Like Laurence Olivier in that musical with Cliff Richards. Remember that time?
Did he do that?
Yeah.
My mum went to see him in that Heathcliff musical.
Laurence Olivier wasn't in that.
No, Cliff. She said he was in it too much.
He was the star of it.
Yeah, but there were bits where it was young Heathcliff's turn.
Yeah.
But old Heathcliff, Cliff,
yeah.
decided to stand at the side of the stage and emote.
Oh, jeez.
Apparently in an over-the-top manner.
Give me a call now. Is Obi-Wan Kenobi in the new Star Wars film? 08459 455 555. Kels, do you know if he's in it or not?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure if he's not, there'll be references throughout.
They'll have a little nod, won't they?
Yeah.
Right, well, shall I look at the front pages of the newspapers?
Yeah, be quick.
Oh, no! So, Sunday, on a whim, my wife says, let's go to Birdworld. I went, that sounds rubbish.
Birdworld?
Yeah, it sounds rubbish. I said, let's go to Woburn Safari Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realised I say safari wrong as well, and I've not been able to say it. I don't.
Put an extra I in there.
I caught myself doing it, and I thought I can't say safari right. I know. Anyway,
say it in isolation.
Safari.
That's like you can't say quarter either.
I don't say quarter.
No, you say quarter.
I don't say quarter.
He says quarter, doesn't he?
He also says milk. Really
so we went to, what I want to say is Windsor Safari Park, because I'm old enough to know that place, guys. Mm-hmm. So we went to Woburn Safari Park, and I'm not being funny, right? There were four of us.
He's about to be funny, you know.
Well, no. There were four of us. We drove up. We were all excited. We hadn't looked online, really. Not at all. We just looked to see it was open. Said, right, there are two adults, one 4-year-old, one 2-year-old. Oh, the 2-year-old gets in free. Oh, fantastic. Wee, quid's in. That'll be £60, please. 60 quid! You having a laugh? 60 quid!
I don't remember it costing that much.
60 quid!
How much?
60 quid! To get in, right? All right, fair enough. And we go.
That's expensive.
That is well expensive. Then we're on a little drive. The driving around bit is fun, you know, because you can let the kids drive in there. There's no law. It's a private road. You can let the kids drive. It's true.
Really?
Yeah. So we're driving around. We saw the rhinoceros, saw the lions, saw the ostrich.
The tigers up the end. They're never towards the cars. They're always up the end.
No, tigers came near us.
Did they?
So did the bears. So did the bears. The bears came near us, and we had a monkey on our car.
Nice.
Didn't do any damage like he did to the car in front. Suckers.
Did he get his toolbox out?
Got it out, and he ripped an aerial off, and he ripped their seal off. And I nearly said something very rude then, but he did. Anyway.
They do look for loose bits.
So. Kelly.
You're right, Kelly.
Kelly, focus on the story.
Anyway,
so we're driving around, okay?
This is good, but it's time for travel.
God, nuts.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1, the Great North Road, looking rather heavy heading southbound just around the Black Cat roundabouts. The M1's looking slow as well heading southbound between junction 12 for Flitwick and junction 11 at Dunstable Road. Taking a look so far at the A1M, that's looking heavy just around junction 7 for Stevenage, and the M25's looking very heavy heading clockwise just around junction 25 for Enfield, heading through those roadworks. Taking a look on the Barnet Way, that's looking heavy between Barnet Lane and Mill Hill Circus, and minor delays on the Metropolitan line between Rickmansworth and Amersham, and that's due to some signal failure. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Can you whistle?
Oh
no,
dear,
turns out you can't.
rubbish.
Yeah, rubbish. Utter rubbish. Oh, now we've gone straight into the weather.
BBC Three Counties
right,
Radio.
Sarah?
Yeah.
It's not your turn.
I know it's not.
Oh, flipping it.
I can wait. I can do it now. I mean, I'm really pretty easy.
Well, listen, don't let yourself down, Sarah, for goodness sakes. Right, I tell you what, you do it now, then I'll come back with the right music and I'll do the news. By that point, you'll be gone, so it's not your concern.
I see.
Over to you.
Beautiful start this morning across the three counties. Very happy to be on air to say that to you. Plenty of sunshine in prospect through the day today and a top temperature of 20 or 21 Celsius. There is, though, the risk of some showers cropping up as we go through this afternoon. They could be quite heavy. They could have a little rumble of thunder mixed in at times, but there will be also drier and brighter interludes mixed in with those showers, and a top temperature, as I say, 20-21 Celsius at 70 in Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, a really good risk of running some showers in the afternoon, but before that, again, dry, lots of sunshine around, fairly cool start first thing in the morning. And Wednesday should be dry, but Thursday we'll be talking about some rain moving towards us from the east in the second half of the day. In the meantime, though, a really nice day in prospect for today, Ian.
You're a professional, I'm a muppet, thank you. Deary me. Right, 7:47, it's Monday, the 7th of July. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home in Olney while it was being burgled. And in sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Every weekday morning.
My show's called The JVS Show, 9 o'clock in the morning on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
I deal with the consumer problems that affect people all over Beds, Herts and Bucks.
And I said, well, I didn't come all this way to be looking at a broken down hotel.
Those companies, those councils, those organisations that are letting people down.
This guy turned around and said to me that they're not prepared to pay me, and I said, so you're forcing me to take action. And he said, good luck, and put the phone down on me.
I get my teeth into them.
Oh, Jonathan, I'll start crying soon. We don't know what to do.
Deal with them and hopefully get results for you, the consumers.
And it got so convoluted, I thought there's only one person who can sort this out.
The JVS Show on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. If you want to give us a call, you're more than welcome to. We need Justin for this little piece as well. You sorting that out?
He's not answering his phone.
What is his beef today?
No.
Daily?
But he's not until after the guest anyway. So you could speak to James.
All right, nice one, I will do. Now, there's a train dispatcher at St Albans Station who defines what it means to be friendly. Apparently, he can put a smile on even the most hardened commuter's face. He's called James Allen. We can speak to him now. Morning, James.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, James. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you worked at St Albans Station?
Well, about 14 months now, and I must say I love it. I really enjoy my work. It gives me a real kick.
Does it? Because a lot of those people who get on trains, they're grumpy, they're miserable, they're rude.
No, they're not rude. They're just ordinary people. It's part of the human condition, I'm afraid, to be frail. And when customers are upset, it's not because they're being belligerent. It's because we've let them down in some way, and they're saying, help, I want control over my life again. And we should do everything possible to put that right.
So how do you do it? Let's assume, James, that my train to London, it's 20 minutes late because there's been overheated wires. How would you reassure me, James? How would you give me control?
Well, I'll give you information. That's the most important thing. And I'll give you accurate and honest information, and I'll give it to you as often as I have it. And I'll use words. You see, when things go wrong, I watch people's souls sagging, and that's so sad, isn't it?
Yes.
And giving people
Saggy
information
soul.
gives them the ability to make decisions again. And when they can make decisions again, they have control over their lives again. And when they have control over their lives again, their stress levels go way down.
See, I like the information because that's one of my complaints when I'm waiting for a bus or waiting for a train or you're stuck on a train and you don't get information as to what's happening, what's going on, how long it might be, what people are doing to back it up. That is a very empowering thing.
But we have to give people information, and we have to give it in a very empathetic way. You see, when people are on the station for a few minutes, we're looking after their souls, and we can't do anything to diminish that. So we have to be nice as well. So I take people, look, I really am terribly sorry. I tell people, look, I can see that your spirits are failing, and I'm so sorry, everyone, and I'm going to do everything that I can to put things right.
Do you ever get told off by your bosses, James? Do they ever say, look, Alan, come on, boy, calm down. You're talking too much?
No, my bosses are very, very supportive, and so are many of my colleagues. Just yesterday, for example, one of the train drivers pulled into the platform and he opened his cab window and gave me a very firm shake of the hand.
Well, that must be quite rewarding.
It is, yes.
James, are you one of those people that does funny songs and jokes and things?
No. It's always a serious mistake to try and be funny. I'm not a natural comedian.
Good. I like that because, again, quite often you'll find tube drivers are the worst at this. Tube drivers in London, they'll try and be, tell jokes and things like that. Come on, come on, mate, you're not Michael McIntyre.
That's okay. What our customers really want from us, and we do try and give it to them, is accurate, honest information and a friendly, empathetic approach. They need to know that they're people.
And so what kind of language do you use, then, to make it easily understandable?
Well, for example, if I'm making an announcement, I'll always start with, how are you today? And how nice to see you, and it's a gorgeous morning. And I'll try and finish with something that I jolly well mean, such as, it is a privilege to serve you folks. I know we have our hiccups, but it really matters. Now, I actually say those things over the PA, and I mean them. And I mean them because I want to have happy working days. And I want to go home at the end of the shift feeling good about me. It's so simple to be pleasant and to get things right, and it's so draining to get things wrong. And our lives are full of hiccups. Why on earth introduce more pain into our lives?
With the greatest respect to your colleagues, you sound quite well-spoken for someone who works on the trains.
Well, I suppose I am. I used to be a butler.
Oh, did you buttle?
Would you like to hear an interesting story about my butler?
I'd love to hear a story about you buttling.
It's about 15 years old now, so I think it's safe to tell it. But I used to be a butler at a private members' club in the far north of Scotland. And a member of the club who was, how shall I say, just a touch corpulent, used to ask for 15 extra pillows on every visit. And we could never understand why. Yes. But 6 visits down the line, one of the housekeepers went into his room fairly early one morning and discovered his wife sleeping in the bathtub.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness!
So there's a little interesting story about my butler's days. I think that's probably the only one it's safe to tell you.
Oh, really? The rest are... Well, James, listen, it's a pleasure to speak to you. Keep on fighting the fight and doing what you're doing, sir. I wish there were more people like you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for the privilege of being on your radio programme.
Oh, James, he's nice, isn't he? He's nice. You listening to that, Justin?
Wow, so smooth.
Yeah, you could learn a lesson or two from him.
Yeah, and you.
No, because I am actually very charming, and I mean that sincerely. It really is a privilege for me to be, doing this DOS of a job.
Yes.
But you're quite foul-mouthed, rude, arrogant, obnoxious, stinky sometimes.
Me?
Yeah, you, Justin.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Do you not think?
No.
No, I'm teasing, of course. You kind of, you've got a similarity to James. You're like a street urchin version of James, aren't you? Because you say all that kind of stuff and you mean it. You enjoy your job.
No, I do actually. I enjoy people who are, let's just say, a little bit different, and James is certainly one of those. Not many people around like James.
You've been taking this to the streets, Justin Dealey. What have the streets been saying?
Well, I've actually been in St Albans this morning at the train station asking people for their thoughts on Happy James. I tell you what, Ian, he is really well loved down there. Here's what people had to say.
He's a happy guy, loves his job, and he gives you the up-to-date information on the trains, which I love because I have to catch a train myself to get to and from work.
So on a Monday morning, you might be thinking, the weekend is gone, I'm feeling miserable. He can actually cheer you up. He puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, he even apologises for the weather. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
He does make us very happy. He announces everything. He tells you from start to finish what's going on. So, sometimes you don't get that information, so it's very good.
But the way he does it as well, does he put a smile on your face first thing in the morning?
He does, very much so.
Let's face it, looking up and down this platform right now, nobody looks particularly happy, do they?
We're never happy in the morning.
But he lightens the mood.
He does. They've even given him a hat, a station announcer's hat. It's brilliant.
Fantastic. Have a good week. Take care.
All right, yourself.
Andrew, as soon as I said happy announcer, you said James straight away, so you know who he is. Yeah. What does he mean to you?
Oh, it's fantastic. He's a little ray of light, especially when you come home in the evening. Sometimes he has chocolates out and he's inviting all the commuters, welcomes you all home. He's just a cheery voice and just a genuinely lovely man.
Do you think he gets away with it because it is St Albans? If it was another location, do you think he might be told to shut up?
No.
Putting it bluntly.
No, I really don't think so. I mean, there's plenty of miserable people living here just like anywhere else, but, it's just nice. It makes a nice change to see a smiley face and, hear a genuine voice.
And the people that I'm talking to, if he wasn't here, he would genuinely be really, really missed.
He would, I think so, yeah. I look forward to, seeing him in the mornings, hearing his apologies for why things aren't going well or welcoming me home in the evening.
That's your train. Get going. Take care.
Thanks.
Right, so James Allen loves his job.
Yep.
I can't believe there is anybody out there that loves their job as much as James Allen does. We've all got... Listen, my job's a DOS and I really, really enjoy it for the most part. But even me, my mild-mannered me... Sorry, Catherine?
Sorry?
Even mild-mannered me sometimes gets a little bit grumpy about having to come into it, especially about getting up at 4 o'clock. That's a real...
But come on the whole, you love it. You love what you do.
Yeah, on the whole, I do.
We're in a very privileged position doing what we're doing.
Well...
Yes, I think so.
We're lucky. We're lucky, and it's compared to, saving people's lives and building walls and stuff like that, it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, we've got it easy, yeah.
But can you see if you can you find anybody who loves their job as... I bet most people, when you ask them, do you love your job, will go, nah, not really.
Yeah. I shall certainly put it out there, and also I might even put this James attitude to the test this morning, welcoming people into Luton. I tried it a moment ago off air. I said, good morning, madam, welcome to Luton. Highs today of 21, I'm desperate for a coffee. And off she went.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, so not
blimey.
quite the same as the reaction in St Albans, or maybe it's just a James thing, the way that he's doing it. He's got that special touch.
Justin, see what you can do. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. There can't be anybody out there who enjoys their job as much as James. We've all got little... I mean, I like this job. I'm very lucky to do it. Of course I am. But man alive, when I have to get up at 4 o'clock, I am cursing the BBC like there's no tomorrow.
Whereas I spring out of bed, throw open the curtains, and the bluebirds come in and help me get dressed.
You sent me a message this morning saying, I can't get up.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Let's bunk off.
It took me about 40 minutes to open my eyes this morning. I was brushing my teeth, eyes closed, washing my face, eyes closed. Got in the car, opened them.
And you're luckier than me to have your job.
Yeah. Feels it every day.
Well, you are luckier than me to have it, but 2 reasons. 1, because I'm talented, and B, because you get to work with me.
Oh.
Kelly?
Hello. I love my job.
Boss.
Boss.
Woburn Safari Park, 60 quid to get in. Drove round.
Did you not do this story?
No, I've not got to the Wallabies.
Wow.
Not got to the Wallabies.
And that's the problem.
There's the problem. There's my beef. We went to the Wallaby section, right? Now, I didn't see... Yes, I was in the wrong. I didn't see the sign saying keep to the path. Didn't see them. Nor did lots of other people. So we didn't keep to the path. We went up and walked up and had a look at the Wallabies. We were there for about 10, 15 minutes. Then we hear this voice. Oi! You! Get on the path! Get on the path! Now! Blimey,
Someone calling their dog back or something?
No, it was a young woman in her early 20s who worked there having a go. There were kids there.
You don't speak to people like that on the first go.
Thank you very much.
No.
And my boy's there, 4 and 2. I went, excuse me, we've got children. Where are the signs? There are signs everywhere. I did see the signs afterwards, admittedly. I said, yeah, you don't speak to anybody like that, particularly not children. You've got no respect for children. Her comeback? You've got no respect for the animals.
Wow, she's having a bad day.
She sounds really...
She nearly cried.
Husky.
She was nearly crying. She was so angry. And I said, you can't talk to people like that. It was disgusting. It ruined the whole thing.
I don't get angry people. Where does it come from all of a sudden?
Comes from being denied affection as a child.
Oh, you should have given her a hug.
I tried to and she slapped me.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound, rather heavy moving between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 10 for Luton Airport. The M25 very slow heading anti-clockwise from before junction 21A for St Albans to junction 16, the M40. Just getting in that the Metropolitan line's now been resumed between Rickmansworth and Amersham. That was due to a signal failure. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Don't get me started on the chavvy bloke who had a go at my wife. He was wearing a T-shirt that said, "Take me to your boozer." And the horrible common woman who forced a 3-year-old with a sprained wrist down a slide when she didn't want to go on it. Oh, dear.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Council trying to reassure residents in Milton Keynes, campaign to reinstate sacked firefighter in Twitter row, and Hamilton highlights Hertfordshire home comforts.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Council say they're doing all they can to licence houses of multiple occupation. Residents in Fishermead are warning of another potentially lethal fire 4 years after a mother and daughter lost their lives in a hymo and the landlord was sent to prison for 4 months. Kevin Wilson is the Labour councillor for the area.
What we are doing is everything that we legally can.
Which is?
Which is we are making investigations through various sources. And
what kind of sources?
Talking to neighbours, if neighbours have got information and evidence. It's a question of trying to build up the evidence that's required as to whether licensing or planning is necessary, whether enforcement action can be taken.
The Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated. Ashley Brown was dismissed for discussing strike action over pensions on Twitter. An online petition backing his case has over 4,000 signatures. The case is now due to be heard before an employment tribunal. Keith Hanscom from the FBU is hoping county councillors step in before that.
Let the councils have a look at it, see if there's with a fresh set of eyes and see what they think. If a Conservative MP thinks that the punishment's been too harsh, we hope they will intervene and perhaps look at the case and perhaps reinstate Ashley.
Police in North Buckinghamshire are continuing their investigation after a woman was raped in her home while it was being burgled. 2 men raided the victim's house near Olney during the early hours of Saturday. The woman, who's in her 50s, said she was raped by one man while the other searched her home and stole cash, credit cards and jewellery. The Home Secretary Theresa May will make a statement to MPs today after suggestions the Home Office failed to act on allegations of a Westminster paedophile ring when they first emerged in the 1980s. Labour's calling for a public inquiry, but Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg is worried that could hamper police efforts to get abusers behind bars.
The only way we're going to get people charged, prosecuted, get people into court, get people behind bars, if that's what is merited, is by allowing the police to do their work. Yes, let's keep an open mind about how we look into this more broadly, but I think the urgent need is to let the police get on with their work.
Government ministers will travel across the country today, highlighting £12 billion worth of local investment projects over the next 6 years. In this area, it includes a £22.5 million investment to dual the A421 from Milton Keynes to junction 13 of the M1. In sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Hamilton says Saturday night back at the family home in Chewin in Hertfordshire did the trick after a disappointing qualifying session. Dad Anthony is a proud father.
It's never over. Saturday's obviously just one of those days where it didn't come together. But, it's race day that counts. And I knew he's a racer and I knew he could come back.
And it's the third stage of the Tour de France from Cambridge to London, with the riders heading down the Hertfordshire-Essex border on their way to the capital. The weather starting dry with sunny spells, but scattered showers this afternoon, which could turn heavy. A maximum temperature 22 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
The multiculturalism, if you embrace it, is good.
It's all about where you live.
It's a lovely, open, community-minded area.
Got our community garden here that's flourishing.
And all this week we're featuring Fishermead.
You say good morning to them, you say goodbye to them, but you don't know them. And that's nice.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 4 years after a fatal fire, there are fears it's still dangerous housing situations in Fishermead. Thousands signed petition in support for a fireman being sacked after tweeting. And is there anybody who loves their job as much as, well, James Allen, who we spoke to earlier on? He works at St Albans Station. He loves it. We all have little... even if we've got our dream job, we all have little gripes about it, don't we? Don't we? I love this gig. It's great. But I've got to have my beef. Partly because I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, partly with the people I have to work with. There's nothing I can do about either of those things. My request for flexi time was turned down. 08 459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
There can't be anybody that we've all got little beefs and gripes with our jobs and what we do, and there are people that wind us up, and there are aspects of it we're not so keen about, and there must be. So you love your job 100%? 08459 455 555. Now, this week's big tour takes us to Fishermead in Milton Keynes, where people are afraid nothing's been learned from tragic events in the past. In 2010, a mother and daughter died in a fire at their home, which it later emerged was an unlicensed house of multiple occupation. The landlord was jailed, and the coroner at the time warned that unless the government cracked down on landlords, forcing them to register and insisting their properties had escape routes and sprinkler systems, it could easily happen again. Well, 4 years later, people living in Fishermead tell us nothing much has changed. Iain Wilson is station manager at Bucks Fire and Rescue and joins me now. Iain, how concerned are you about this situation?
Morning, Iain. Well, what people don't know is that behind the scenes, a great deal of work's been going on between Milton Keynes Council and Bucks Fire and Rescue Service. And with the help of the residents of Fishermead, we've been able to locate a large number of previously unknown houses of multiple occupation, called them HIMOs, and the appropriate safety measures have been put in place. So I'm not as concerned as most people are, because I know that there's a great deal of work going on.
How do you know how many houses or properties have been dealt with in the last 4 years since that terrible accident?
No, I haven't got the figures on top of my head, Ian, but I do know that immediately after that tragic fatal fire, I know that the Milton Keynes Council, the private sector housing team, were inundated with response from the public, which is fantastic, but they didn't have enough resources. We were trudging the streets in the snow, helping them, knocking on doors in Fishermead, checking out the addresses that we'd been given. Many of them we found were not houses of multiple occupation. They were private rented, to single families, maybe large families, and maybe that's why the neighbours thought that they might be HIMOs. But we whittled that list down over the months following, and now we're in a situation where we get a steady trickle. Probably I do consultations with the council, probably about 3 or 4 properties a week.
Part of the problem we've heard from the people living in Fishermead is that if someone goes and knocks on the door and asks, is this a HIMO, and they say no, there's nothing more that can be done. Do the council need more powers to enforce this, do you think?
Well, I can tell you that we didn't stop at the door because we have powers of entry. The council have powers of entry. They have to give notice. And the fire service, under the fire safety order, the law that we enforce, we have powers of entry to ascertain whether that premises comes under the order or not. So I said to the people, can we come in nice and friendly? And in the most part, most people were as friendly as anything, invited us in. And at that point, I can see whether it's a HIMO or not. You look for signs.
What are the signs, Ian? What gives it away?
Well, several, locks on cupboard doors in kitchens, several, repetition of cooking appliances, like frying pans and things like that. People have their own stuff, and you don't find that in a single household. Also, going up the stairs, you might see locks on the door, which may or may not be an indicator. and just generally looking at the fire precautions. So even if these premises weren't HIMOs, we were then offering free smoke alarms and, making them safe if we saw that they weren't.
I imagine as well that if there is a fire or you're called out to an emergency, these HIMOs can present a risk to you lot.
They can do. I mean, the risk associated with HIMOs is mainly to do with the people because their relationship isn't as strong as, say, a family of, of people and perhaps friends or colleagues or students living together. So that's where the risk comes from. And if they're not compliant, then the risk is obvious. If they haven't got a fire alarm, if they haven't got fire doors and a safe escape route, then that's a risk to the occupants.
Iain, thanks very much. 08459 455 555. You want to have your sound out? That's Iain Wilson, station manager at Bucks Fire and Rescue.
Have you just had a steam?
Oh, no, I got a second. I was trying to be all smooth there. What's going on with the computer? Anyway. I don't get where the I comes from.
In HIMO?
Yeah, it's houses of multiple occupancy. So why is it... Oh, I just see what that spells. Yes, that would probably be inappropriate, wouldn't it?
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, Woburn Safari Park. And there was this... You're still there. So that we're playing in the playground, and there was a slide, as there often are in playgrounds, and there was this young girl. She was about 3, and she had I think she had a sprained wrist. She had her arm in a sling and a bandage wrapped around her left wrist, so I'm assuming she had her thing. And she climbed up, and she was scared to come down the slide. Come down that slide! I don't want to come down the slide.
Is that you saying that?
No, this is her mum. Come down that slide! And she's in tears. She's like sobbing.
At which point you go and you help her down, don't you?
She was at which point the girl sat on the top of the slide. Oh my God! She's like almost screaming. The mum grabs the bad arm, yanks her down the slide. That's bad enough, right? Then she marches her up the climbs up the climbing frame again, picks her up, plonks her on the slide. The girl's in hysterics at this point. Pushes her down the slide.
You will have fun.
It was insane. Do you remember we had some guest on, some kiddie expert, ages ago, and we were talking about slapping kids or whatever staple we were using. And she said, if you see a situation like that and you want to get involved, don't go up and say, oi.
Yeah, this is when you see a parent getting physical with their child.
You say, go up there and say, is there a way I can help you?
Yeah.
Is there a way I can take the pressure off a bit? And I was rehearsing that line in my head. I was getting the palpitations because I thought I'm going to go and say this to her. And then she sparked up a fag and walked off. So I didn't need to, but I was going to intervene in the situation.
But in that situation, the kid wasn't sort of misbehaving. I think the situation that expert was talking about was when the kid's kicking off in the supermarket and the mum starts to lose her rag.
Well, I interpret it as the mum had lost her rag though. The mum had lost her rag because the kid was tired. It was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was really hot. And she didn't want to go down the slide, so she made her go down it twice.
Why would you make them?
And then she dragged her into the monkey enclosure, which she didn't want to go into. This was shortly after.
Climb?
Huh?
How's she going to climb?
No, she's not.
There's a gate.
This was shortly.
Those monkeys are funny. They go in your pockets.
They didn't go in my pocket.
Tried to go in my pocket.
Go in my pocket. I'd punch it in the face.
The tiny monkeys?
Yeah, totally.
No, they're cute.
I put it on the end of my shoe and kicked it.
No, they're cute. There was one trying to get my
stuff
out of my pocket.
Goes in my pocket and it'll get... You go in my pocket, you get a smack. I'll ask questions later. I've got the right to defend my property with reasonable force.
Oh, tiny little monkey hands.
Punch a monkey. Anyway,
cute.
Anyway, we put one in a bag and brought it home with us.
Have you got it with you now?
Well, we forgot to put holes in the bag, so unfortunately, no. But this was shortly after... I'm joking, guys.
Joking.
Don't phone up and complain about that, you losers.
He's only joking.
This was shortly after the man saying, take me to your booth. The T-shirt would take me to your booth where I got my wife.
I saw a beautiful T-shirt in Bedford on...
Now, I don't know if you're allowed to say this T-shirt on air.
Why not? It was one of those T-shirts...
All right, can I just flag this up? There is no bad language involved, but
it's really bad taste.
It's very bad taste, and it presents a really horrible, horrible image. So...
It was at the bus station.
Hang on.
There was a pensioner.
No, hang on. If you've got children who are listening, they don't want to hear this. And also, I would suggest if you are of a nervous disposition... It's a really horrible image you're going to put in someone's head.
It was an old lady...
Here we go. I warned you about this.
Wheeling a shopping trolley.
Yeah.
She was having a good old chat with her friend.
You said she was fat as well.
She was corpulent. She was wearing a very tight T-shirt, a pink one, and it had arrows pointing up and arrows pointing down. The arrow pointing up said beauty. The arrow pointing down said the beast.
I did warn you. I did warn you.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound, rather heavy moving on the speed sensors between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 10 for Luton Airport. Also taking a look at the A1, that's heavy heading southbound at junction 7 for Stevenage. And on the A41 heading southbound, there's a lane closed at the moment. There's some resurfacing work taking place between the Chesham turnoff and junction 20 for the M25, causing problems there. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, heavy between 21 the M1 and junction 16 the M40. The M40 itself London bound looking rather slow between junction 4 for the Handy Cross roundabout and junction 3 for Loudwater. No reported problems or delays to the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Right, it's 8:15. It's Monday the 7th of July. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. The Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated after he was dismissed for discussing strike action on Twitter. And in sport, Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Daffodils and daisies, bluebells and begonias.
It's that time of year when the best in bloom comes to the RHS Hampton Court Palace Flower Show. And tomorrow I'll be there in the thick of it all.
That's Salvia hot lips, which of course is a nice name for a plant as well.
As you know, my fingers aren't all that green, but I'll chat to local gardeners and experts to give me all the tips I could possibly need.
If you don't have any soil to plant into, you can get yourself some decent sized pots.
We'll look at the history of the flower show and I'll make it feel just like you were there.
Nick Coffer.
Live from the Hampton Court Palace Flower Show tomorrow from midday here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, Jonathan Vernon-Smith. That ain't you, it's David Prever.
Hello, how are you? Oh, sorry, wrong voice.
Yes, how are you doing? You're right.
Very good, how are you?
Do you never stop working?
Never stop working, no, I'm always working.
It's the worry, once you stop, you'll never get out of that chair.
Well, you never get out of bed.
Yes, you'll never get that phone call again.
It never rings. You've got to keep moving.
Always say yes. You're in all week.
All week, yes.
Nice to have you.
And thank you very much. You always take your shoes off, do you? Is that a thing?
I do take my shoes off to do this. Yeah, I do. It makes me, I feel more at home, more relaxed. If I were doing a hard-hitting news show...
Would you put your shoes on, depending... Would you change during the show, depending on the material? Would you put on smart shoes for a big interview? I might.
I wouldn't do that. I do miss the days of people dressing up a bit smart for the radio.
Yes, I'd love to come in a dinner suit. That would be nice.
You see, I've dressed like a man having a midlife crisis. I was on Radio 4 at the weekend.
What were you doing there?
I was on Broadcasting House with Paddy O'Connell.
Oh, he's a nice man.
He's a very nice man.
Did you take your shoes off for that?
I had my shoes off, yes, I did have my shoes off.
Did you?
Yeah, I did have my shoes off.
They don't like that there.
No, I won't be going back.
No, they like footwear at Radio 4.
What have you got on the show today?
It's a big question this morning from 9 o'clock. Home Secretary Theresa May today making a statement to MPs on allegations of organised child sex abuse at Westminster in the 1980s, as you've been reporting all morning. And there are growing calls for a public inquiry. Meanwhile, this news comes as a Watford man was jailed for 7.5 years after he sexually abused a girl from the age of 6. And, of course, Rolf Harris spending his third morning waking up in prison after he was jailed on Friday for 5 years, 9 months. Sex abuse is all over the headlines again. I want to know from 9 o'clock, what can you do to protect your children from abusers? It is a thought I have with my two all the time. And it was a line from Amanda Platell in the Mail on Saturday where she said, those that abuse don't groom their victims, they groom the people around them. So they make you feel like their very best friend. He's such a nice man, or she's such a nice woman. Isn't he? He's lovely, isn't he? He's always so lovely with everybody. Very worrying if you have kids. But what do you do?
08459 455 555. David, thank you very much.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, I was on Radio 4, Catherine.
Oh, really? You haven't mentioned it?
Yeah, I was on Radio 4. Quite an extended feature they did with me. I was interviewed...
About your life and works?
Well, I was interviewed about a topic, and they used clips from my radio show, not this one, another one. But I mentioned this one. So that's props to me, because I gave props to the station, so I'm guessing that's props to my pay increase, yeah?
Yeah? Not sure it works like that.
Yep. Radio 4, Kelly.
Hey, what?
That's a radio station for posh, clever people. I was on it, innit?
Are you sure you were?
I was totes on it.
Why did they pick you?
Because I'm posh and clever.
You.
And here's a thing that's dull. I tweeted, because I listened to it. I was in bed and I turned the radio on and I thought I'd have listened. And I tweeted, I've never heard myself on the radio. That's not true.
Oh.
Well, I've never heard myself on DAB radio. That's why it sounded weird, apart from the fact that I sound like an idiot, don't I?
Yeah, I know. Why were you on Radio 4?
Because they wanted my insight into an interesting news story.
Did you go there and...
Sure, why not? I didn't.
Or was it just on the phone?
ISDN.
Oh.
Down the line.
Down the quality line.
They wanted me so much. I said, look, I can't come in. They said, look, is there any way we can do this?
So were you like a guest?
I was an expert.
On?
Rolf Harris.
OK, and then let's draw a veil over this now.
Yeah, OK. 08459 455 555. Sorry?
I've just told her what you were talking about.
Oh, I didn't realise.
Yeah.
Maybe I should follow you on Twitter.
I wouldn't bother. We're talking about the thing we talked about last week. Should I play Two Little Boys to My Two Little Boys? That was the basic premise of it. And they felt that I could give an intellectual insight into it. They called me an award-winning radio man.
Oh,
Radio Man. Hey, we have that.
Yeah, it's a rubbish computer. Now, more than 4,000 people have signed an online petition calling for the reinstatement of a Hertfordshire firefighter sacked for comments made on Twitter. Ashley Brown was dismissed on a charge of gross misconduct for tweeting during one of last year's Fire Brigade's union strikes. Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service claim his comments were threatening in nature and may have brought Hertfordshire County Council into disrepute. The FBU refutes that accusation. Well, I'm joined now by Juliet Franklin, who's an employment lawyer for Slater and Gordon. Good morning, Juliet. We have to be so careful these days, don't we, what we post on Twitter and Facebook and the like.
Good morning. Yes, that's true. I mean, I think quite often what we post on Facebook and Twitter, we think it's harmless, it's out there for our friends to see, and that's it. You know, the day passes and another day begins. But I think what people often forget is that once it's there, once it's out on the internet, then there's a permanent mark of that, and that can always be seen by others if privacy settings aren't set correctly, or if, for example, friends who you thought were friends may not be so friendly after all.
People who are two-faced on the internet? I don't believe a word of it, Juliet. You're not covered as well. Have I got this right? If, for example, if I were to put on my Twitter description, all of these are my own personal views, not those of the BBC, that doesn't cover me, does it?
Not necessarily. I mean, generally, I think what we have to be clear is that we still do all have the right to a private life, and there is a line between what we do in work and what we do when we're at home or out of work. And this isn't the case where employers have the right to interfere with everything we do and say in our private lives. There always has to be a sense of reasonableness about what the employer wants to interfere with. The problem arises where the individual crosses the line and in some way impacts on the employer's business, and it's at that point that the employer may have a justifiable reason to interfere with what's being said.
And also, Twitter it isn't private unless you've got your privacy settings set to only a few people can see this. It's the public domain, isn't it?
Absolutely, and the thing with Twitter is you tweet it to your followers and someone retweets it, and on and on and on it goes, and all of a sudden it's out there to thousands or millions of people. And I think this is what people sometimes fail to think properly about when they actually post their tweet.
Are you getting more and more the cases involving social media?
There are more and more of these arising, and as I say, I mean, it's not always cut and dried that just because somebody posts something and their employer is upset or offended by it, that the employer has the right to take any action in relation to that. There does have to be that dividing line, and we are finding that there are some cut and dried cases where people have said things that perhaps in the cold light of day they shouldn't have done, but we're also seeing lots of cases where employers are completely overreacting to what somebody is doing in their private life, and as a result people are bringing claims for unfair dismissal and the like.
This case is going to be heard at an employment tribunal, a phrase I've heard so many times. I've got no idea what happens at an employment tribunal. What's it like?
In the olden days, if I can call them, the idea always was that they were supposed to be quite an informal forum where employees could go and air grievances about the way in which they've been treated by their employers. But as with everything, as time marches on, as the law develops, they are becoming more and more detailed, more and more knotty issues that they're being asked to determine. But the general rule of thumb underpinning all of this is that it's supposed to be relatively informal as the court scenario can ever be, allowing employees access to justice if they feel they've been poorly treated. And I think that's what we have to keep hold of.
Juliet, thank you very much. That's Juliet Franklin, an employment lawyer for Slater and Gordon.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's kind of an employment theme this morning. Remember about 30 minutes ago we were speaking to James Allen. He's the state... What do they call it? A dispatchment agent? Or what does that mean, a train dispatcher? He's a station manager. He blows the whistle. At St Albans Station. If you use that station regularly, the odds are you will have heard him making friendly, polite announcements. And he's kind of got a bit of a reputation for it. But we had him on the show, and he sounds like a delightful gentleman. He says he loves his job. He loves his job. He loves it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Does anybody really love their job that much? I don't think that's possible. Even if you've got the best job, even if you're Will Smith or Danny Dyer, you've got the best jobs in the world, right? There's got to be bits of it you don't like, surely. 08459 455 555. I was having a whinge about Woburn Safari Park. Leslie's in Luton. Morning, Leslie.
Good morning, Ian.
Leslie, what would you like to say, sir?
Now, you were complaining about 60 quid to get in.
Yes.
Right? That is cheap compared to in 2008 when I went there with my two grandkids, me and my wife and my two grandkids.
Yeah.
And it was 60 quid. But my wife had a disabled badge and we only paid £16.
So? What? So what are you saying? You saying that she should have paid less because she was disabled?
No, she paid less. £16 it cost us, the four of us, to get in.
Right. Well,
which it would have cost us 6 quid.
Hang on a minute, Leslie. Right, let's go back a bit. How much did it cost for you, your disabled wife and your two grandkids to get into Woburn in 2008?
£16.
16?
Yes.
For all four of you?
Yes.
You owe me 60 quid, mate. You owe me 60 quid.
But when we got to the restaurant,
here we go.
Right?
Yeah.
That's where it cost us.
Here we go. Go on.
£49.
£49?
Yeah, in the restaurant.
Yeah, I spent. We had lunch and then we had tea there as well because it was too late to get the kids back. We spent on those two meals about 55 quid, and they weren't even meals. This is the thing. Pack a picnic. That's the lesson. But they were. It was, and the food wasn't even very good, Les.
No. The meal was very bad. We had something like. It's on the menu. The chicken looked so beautiful, and nice.
Yeah.
And I ordered chicken and chips and other things, and I couldn't eat it. It was bad stuff.
I mean, I ate it, and I ate the boys' food as well. Trust me, that food didn't go to waste. But I just think, I tell you what, I really enjoyed the drive around bit. The driving around bit's brilliant.
Yeah. It reminded me of being in Africa, which I've never been to Africa.
Well, hang on a minute. How could it remind you of being in Africa if you've never been to Africa?
Well, what I've seen on the TV, sometimes you imagine things.
It reminds you of when you'd been watching Africa on the TV and you'd close your eyes and imagine things.
Yes.
What were your favourite animals, Leslie?
Well, I've never seen so many animals, because the only time I ever really experienced these sort of animals is watching TV or
imagination. Books and books. Come on, you know the answer. You know the answer, Leslie. Your favourite animals were the monkeys.
No, I didn't think we did see any monkeys. What,
you didn't see any monkeys in Woburn?
No, for some reason they weren't there because we were talking about it afterward. Anyway, another thing.
That's the whole point of going to Woburn. Were you sure it was Woburn?
There was a time when the monkeys got ill.
It was.
Oh, the monkeys may have been poorly. Oh man.
Yeah, they probably were. Another thing. What a bit embarrassed me. I tried to distract my two grandkids from seeing two buffaloes.
What, 2 buffaloes? What's wrong with 2 buffaloes? I like buffaloes.
Well, they weren't getting up to anything too good.
What were they getting up to? What were they? What?
Well,
fighting?
I'm not gonna say.
Well, what?
It's. Oh.
What were they doing?
No, it weren't fighting. It weren't fighting.
Were they having a wee-wee? Because we saw a giraffe doing a poo, and the boys thought that was hilarious.
No, these 2 were getting up to naughty stuff.
How did you distract your grandchildren from that?
Well, we tried to sing, talk, and things, but we didn't know that they were observing until a couple of days later. I heard they were whispering things around the house, and I said to my wife, "Bloody hell!" You know, they saw what we was trying to distract them from.
What gossip were they spreading about the rhinoceri? What were they saying?
I can't
the buffalo. You can't say. Okay, Leslie, thank you very much indeed. My sister once saw 2 dogs being naughty in the street. You used to see dogs being naughty in the street all the time in the 70s.
Themselves, weren't they?
Yeah, she said, "Mummy, what are they doing?" "Oh, one dog's got a bad back and the other one's pushing it."
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The Great North Road heading southbound looking heavy just before the Black Cat roundabout. And the M1's looking heavy on the speed sensors heading southbound between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 10 for Luton Airport. The A1M also looking rather heavy around junction 7 for Stevenage. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise. Very slow moving from junction 21 at the M1 to junction 16 the M40. Take a look at the A41. There's a lane closed. Some resurfacing works taking place between the Chesham turnoff and junction 20 for the M25. So far on the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Simon Oxley. The Home Secretary Theresa May will make a statement to MPs today amid growing criticism of the way her department has handled allegations of historical child abuse. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. And the Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated after he was sacked for discussing strike action on Twitter.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Lewis Hamilton is back in title contention after victory in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. The Hertfordshire driver is now just 4 points behind teammate and championship leader Nico Rosberg, who failed to finish.
You know, I've gone from a driver that's crazy confident in qualifying and always blitzing qualifying to changing into a driver that's really more confident in the race, knowing that I've got the package, where to put my car, setup-wise, how to look after the tyres, and starts, you know. To be world champion, you need to be perfect. You need to be great at everything.
And for the Milton Keynes Red Bull team, Daniel Ricciardo was third and Sebastian Vettel fifth. It's the third stage of the Tour de France from Cambridge to London, with the riders heading down the Hertfordshire-Essex border on their way to the capital. More from Andy Swiss.
After an estimated 2.5 million people turned out to watch the first 2 stages in Yorkshire, more huge crowds are expected to line the 100-mile route from Cambridge to London. The cyclists will set out shortly after midday on a largely flat route through Cambridgeshire and Essex. They'll pass through the Olympic Park before the course takes in landmarks such as Canary Wharf, the Tower of London and Big Ben. The riders are expected to reach the finish on the Mall shortly before 4 o'clock.
Following his Wimbledon final victory over Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic will replace Rafael Nadal as world number one when the latest ATP rankings are announced later today. Djokovic's win over Federer was his second win at the All England club and 7th Grand Slam title overall. In football, Luton have confirmed the signing of experienced right-back Paul Connolly to fill the gap left by Ronnie Henry's departure. 30-year-old Connolly has previously been at Plymouth, Derby and Leeds and ended last season at Crawley. And in cricket's Minor Counties Championship, it's day 2 of 3. At Harpenden, Hertfordshire are 82 for 2 in reply to Norfolk's 197. Bedfordshire declared on 276 for 9 away to Cumberland. The hosts are 110 for 1 in reply, and Buckinghamshire are 254 for 4 away to Suffolk. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Does anybody really love their job, like really love it 100%, everything about it is perfect, it's a joy to get up. Once I'm in, generally, it's all right. Today...
I make it worthwhile, don't I, by my naturally sunny disposition in that.
When?
When you come into work. You see me
today?
Sometimes with a coffee, sometimes waiting for one, drumming my fingers.
Today you were flat. I thought you
but
brought
it's Monday, wasn't it?
I thought you... No, but I thought you brought the vibe down considerably.
Oh. No, I thought I was being quite humorous about it.
OK. Well, you weren't. You weren't even talking to me.
Yeah, but in a humorous way.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think anybody can love their job, like every aspect of their job. It's not possible. Kelly?
I do.
You don't know.
I do.
You don't. Sometimes you get a cob on.
Yeah, so?
So that means you don't love your job.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
That could mean I don't love you.
Exactly. Sometimes you get a cob on because of me, and I am your job.
Well, no. I don't think I've ever had a cob on because of you.
Yes, you have. That's not true.
When? What have you done?
So many times. Catherine, tell her.
Like when?
Loads of times. Well, he's really rude, isn't he? I mean, it's hard not to have a cob on.
Yeah, but I don't feel that you upset me.
Oh, Kelly, that is such
Tell me a time.
I can't think of a specific, but Catherine and I were discussing this the other day. There have been loads of times, not for a while, where...
don't bring me into this. I don't talk about Kelly behind her back.
You were talking about her a lot. You were really bitching about her, and I said, well, that's out of order. And then we got onto the subject.
I don't ever believe that.
There have been loads of times where I've done like a wicked joke, and you've not seen it as a joke, and you have got upset.
Like when?
But not really, bosses, or tribunal, if this is being played in a court of law.
But when?
Loads of times.
I know that I've upset you once, and it was...
Yeah, you've upset me more than once.
Big. Really?
Yeah, you've upset me a few times.
I'm so sorry, mate.
But I've done it to you. Catherine, help me out here.
But you can't think of an example.
Probably...
Was I pretending to have a cob?
No, you had a proper cob on. This has happened loads of times.
What's it for?
Richard, can you remember when I upset Kelly?
Well, listen now, I mean, that story you were saying earlier about the two dogs pushing with a bad back...
Steady.
It puts me in time of when I was travelling across the plains of America.
Yes.
And I was visiting these local tribes. And bearing in mind the two dogs pushing with a bad back is a euphemism for something entirely different, but never mind.
Yeah, I'm hovering on your fader.
Well, that's all right, don't worry. It's the best possible taste, I promise you.
Yes.
I was visiting these Indians and these Native Americans, and this little boy came in crying his eyeballs out, and his mum said, "What's the matter, son? What's the matter?" And he said, "I'm fed up with my name. The kids at school are always taking the mickey out of me."
Oh, dear.
I was really, don't hang up.
No, don't say the punchline then.
I'm not going to say the punchline.
Well, don't even allude to that. I know what the punchline is. It's about.
You don't know what the punchline
It's about
is.
two dogs.
Something like that.
Yeah, so I do know the punchline because I have heard it. And even if I hadn't heard it, it's a predictable, lazy joke.
No, it's not a predictable, lazy joke.
Why are you even continuing this?
Because you won't stop interrupting while I'm listening.
You've called in about being happy at work.
Yes, well, I'll come on to that in a minute.
No, you'll come on to it now.
No, I'll come on to it in a minute.
You'll come on to it now.
Order. I'll come on to it in a minute. Now, so the mum tried to explain to the little boy that what we do when the child's born...
We said then the first thing that we see when we open the TV.
That's right.
Two
that's
dogs.
No. You got it wrong. Saul, calm yourself down.
Right.
That's why your sister's called Babbling Brook and your brother's called too...
OK, I'm not happy at work. Now, Catherine.
I am.
What was Richard saying?
I don't know. He's talking this weird, whingy, high-pitched northern whine.
Northern?
You're northern, aren't you, Richard?
I must say I am actually.
Yeah, I can.
No, he's not.
Where are you from?
Blackpool.
Here you go. You see?
You are not.
Oh, well, I'm not then.
Where are you from, Richard? Seriously?
I was born in Blackpool.
I can hear the accent.
Can you?
No, you can't. I left when I was 3.
It doesn't matter.
Then I was brought up in the Jewel of the Crown.
What, India?
No, East End of London.
Okay.
Exactly, that's what I hear.
I can hear North. Can you hear Northern Just?
I can, absolutely.
I can hear North.
I can hear nonsense as well, to be quite honest with you.
Blackpool, lad. Wasn't my fault. Anyway, the business about...
Does Blackpool still exist?
Yeah.
Yeah,
does it
only
really?
in your imagination.
Yeah.
The business about the fella on the train station.
Right.
Yeah, the other story, I worked as a butler once.
Oh, for goodness sake. Are you about to another filthy, slightly offensive joke?
No, good grief, no, perish of thoughts.
Right.
So I used to work
Get ready
as a
to jump in,
butler.
Justin, if this
Yeah,
kicks
no
off.
worries. Richard, can I ask you before you carry on? You weren't an entertainer in Blackpool, were you?
You're not an entertainer on this phone call.
I did work at Butlins Holiday Camp in my misspent youth.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What did you do at Butlins, apart from get it on with loads of girls?
How did you know that?
Because I can read you like a book.
Oh, no, you can't. Anyway, I worked as a butler for this very rich dowager Duchess lady up north, and somewhere near Blackpool, and she's very overweight. She's always breaking wind and blaming me. Jeeves, stop that! Jeeves, stop that! Oh, my word. And I had to put up with all this. So one day there was a huge dinner party, and she broke wind very loudly. So she said, Jeeves, stop that! And I said, certainly, madam. Which way did it go?
Deary me.
Right. Who put him through? Catherine?
Well, yeah. Well, Steve wasn't answering.
That is one. They're getting one finger.
Right.
If by the end of the week you get 5 fingers,
I'm allowed a day off.
you're sent off. No, you're not allowed a day off. You have to work an extra day.
Oh, no.
Cleaning my car.
Oh.
Boss, just call it a yellow card.
That's it.
There you go.
Yellow card.
Simple.
Yellow card.
Fewer
Cautioned.
chances, though. I get 5 chances.
No, you get 2 here.
Yeah,
Got a yellow
exactly.
card, 2 yellows, you're off.
Oh, that means you're off work.
No, not off work.
What do you
She's
mean
on.
Oh.
2 yellows and she's on.
On.
I've not quite worked it out, but the
Come back to me when you've worked this out.
I will. We'll come back to it. We'll work out a punishment for. Oh, it's gone. Oh,
coffee making maybe. That'll be nice.
What's I've forgotten. Kelly, I've forgotten that lady's name.
It's Catherine.
Catherine. Thank you, Kathleen. Right, Justin.
Yes, boss.
It's all right, Ewan.
You've been talking about James Allen this morning.
Yes, Jeff.
The happy train announcer at St Albans
He
train
loves it,
station.
doesn't he? He loves it.
You spoke to him before 8 o'clock. He absolutely loves
What a
his
nice
job. And I was there this morning. People were saying how much they enjoy him. He welcomes people off the trains. He's very, very polite. He makes people happy. Now, we suspected this might just be a St Albans thing because it is quite posh.
Yeah.
So you sent me off to Luton to welcome people into the town centre from some of the buses there.
Excellent.
I think you may have a point. Ian, this is what happened. Well, let's put this to the test. The number 1 Farley Hill bus has just arrived here in the town centre. Madam, good morning. Good morning, madam.
Oh, I'm going to work.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Madam, good morning. So I'll welcome you into Luton.
Oh, sorry, you're going to work.
OK, thank you. Morning, madam. Hi, it's the day of 21. Just thought I'd welcome you into Luton Town Centre today. How are you feeling today?
I'm fine, and I live here, so I'm kind of all right with Luton.
Fantastic. You feeling good today?
I am.
Lovely.
I am indeed.
Have a lovely day. Enjoy yourself. Thank you. Take care. Madam, good morning. Welcome into Luton Town Centre.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks.
Lovely. Looking forward to work?
No.
Okay, listen, have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Fair play, Just. You made an effort there.
Yeah, I made the effort, but unfortunately it's not quite the same reaction as in St Albans.
But you may have planted a seed in those women. No,
Yeah.
I'm serious. You might have planted a seed,
possibly,
in those women that will gestate and will grow throughout the day. And maybe, like 2 o'clock this afternoon, boom, it will blossom and it might brighten their day. I'm serious.
Yeah, you never know. Somebody saying good morning, being happy. Hopefully that will make a difference.
Personally, I hate it.
Yeah, I know you do.
I don't like forced joviality or jollity.
And I think a lot of people hated me asking the question.
Yeah.
You've also been asking the question this morning, do you genuinely love your job, a bit like James Allen?
Yeah.
Most people are saying absolutely no, I hate my job. But I managed to find 2 people who do really love their job.
Oh.
Here's what happened. Well, here's Michael. You're telling me that you genuinely love your job. Tell our listeners what you do.
My name is Michael Campbell. I head up an organisation called Luton Town Centre Chaplaincy, and we meet the pastoral and spiritual needs of people of all faiths and no faiths at all here in Luton, in a word.
You've sold it very well. What do you love about your job so much?
I just love the diversity. Here in Luton, it's this fantastic job to have. You meet all kinds of people from all walks of life, with all kinds of problems. Not that they all have problems, but they all have a really good time, fantastic mix of jobs, whole range of cultures and faiths. it's, brilliant place to be and brilliant place to work.
And you're not just saying this because you're on the radio. There's never a day where you think, I've had enough of this, I've got to go.
No, I genuinely get up in the morning looking forward to coming to work, especially on a day like today when the sun's shining. It's fantastic, isn't it?
You're too happy for your own good. Thank you very much.
No worries. See you now.
Now, Bridget, you claim to love your job. Tell us what you do.
I'm a special needs teaching assistant.
What do you love so much about your job?
Just the fun we have every day and what you get back from the job.
You don't ever think to yourself, oh, come on, I need to get something new, I've had enough of this, I'm bored, I'm frustrated.
Never, ever.
And you wake up in the morning with that smile on your face, ready to go into work.
Absolutely, yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, you must hear people that say, oh, I hate my job. You're in a fortunate position, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but they need to move jobs in.
No excuse not to be happy.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I should have put a caveat. I don't think religious jobs count. No, I don't, because they are, the religious people are filled with a joy and a certainty, Justin, that you and I, in our heathen-like state, will never be able to comprehend.
Yes, very true.
We are not wrapped in the arms of whatever our God may be. But fair play to him. He's happy. And
Bridget as well.
Bridget sounds like she's doing a cracking job.
How many other people? I mean, I have to say, I think it's rare. The people that I know always moaning about their jobs. I think it's quite rare to find somebody who wakes up in the morning and they are really looking forward to going to work.
Now listen, our job is easy. We're very, very lucky to do it. But even you and I have had little whinge about our jobs in the past.
Yeah, every now and again I do whinge, but then again you've got to think about other people. When you hear about other jobs, you think, oh, we are lucky. We're in a fortunate position. I did leave the BBC for a couple of years, came back, and now I appreciate it even more. We have got a good life, but some people don't, of course.
The thing about humans is we don't always appreciate our position. We always... No, but the grass is always... We don't, though. The grass is always greener.
Yes.
There's always,
Christine Bleakley.
yeah, exactly. Look what happened
Adrian Charles.
Yeah, look. Well, he's doing all right. He's still out in Rio, isn't it?
Getting, abuse on Twitter.
Yeah, you got to stop that, Justin.
Yeah, sorry.
That is out of order.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Sandy, rather heavy moving on the A1 in both directions, just around the Sandy roundabout. The M1's looking heavy heading southbound between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 10 for Luton Airport. Taking a look in Luton, it's looking heavy on Hitchin Road between the Ashcroft Road and Green Road. And the A1M's looking heavy heading southbound at junction 7 for Stevenage. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, very slow moving from junction 21 the M1 to junction 15 the M4. And there's a lane closed on the A41 heading southbound between the Chesham turnoff and junction 20 for the M25, and that's due to some resurfacing work. No reported problems or delays to the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola. It's 8:46. It's Monday the 7th of July. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The Home Secretary, Theresa May, will make a statement to MPs today amid growing criticism of the way her department has handled allegations of historical child abuse. Residents in Milton Keynes are warning of another potentially lethal fire on the Fishermead estate in a house of multiple occupation. And the Fire Brigades Union is calling for a sacked Hertfordshire firefighter to be reinstated after he was sacked for discussing strike action on Twitter. Right, if you want to give us a call, if you enjoy your job or otherwise, maybe you want to phone up and say, actually, I hate it. 08459 455 555. What am I waiting for?
Yes, okay, you can go.
You just keep clicking my ear. Wait. What am I waiting for?
Nothing.
Whether to connect.
Oh, it was typed on my screen. It was ready to go.
Yeah, but then it was out.
Whose fault was it?
No one's.
Kelly's, thank you.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I think we've got you, Sarah. I think we've got you. I'm hoping we've got you. I can hear you giggling like a lunatic. Or are you crying? Are you crying?
Well, I was here. I mean, that's all I'm going to say to you.
It's not. Listen, hey, Sarah. It's not your fault. Yes, we will launch a full investigation into exactly whose fault it was. At the moment, I'm suggesting it was Kelly's.
Don't shred any documents.
There you go. You see. Thank you.
Topical. Right. Okay. A lovely start this morning across the three counties. Temperatures slipped down into single figures, but today we've had lots of sunshine to start the day. So we're at 14 degrees at the moment, expecting to keep a lot of that sunshine. We'll see some cloud increasing through this afternoon, but generally dry for a good deal of the day, although later the risk of some stray showers coming through towards the end of the afternoon that would be. In the meantime, top temperature of 20 or 21 degrees. Tomorrow, a very similar day, a beautiful start, plenty of sunshine in the afternoon, a really good chance of picking up a shower from about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They could be quite sharp. They could have a bit of thunder mixed in as well, and we'll keep them for several hours until the sun sets. Again, a high of 20 degrees. Wednesday's dry. Thursday, the risk of some rain pushing towards us from the east. I will update you on that forecast tomorrow morning. There you go, Ian.
Thank you.
In August 2011, Batchwood Sports Centre was destroyed by fire.
4 men have been arrested following the fire at Batchwood Golf and Tennis Centre in the early hours of Wednesday morning.
And nearly 3 years on, it's being officially reopened tomorrow by Judy Murray.
Judy's been a really big supporter of the project since the fire.
As well as now being a state-of-the-art community facility, it also houses a performance centre for tennis.
We're really excited to be opening our new tennis courts, new outdoor tennis courts.
I'll be live from the new building as we hear from the people behind the project, local community leaders and the people using it.
Hang out with us, cardio tennis, knock a ball about, shake some tins for charity.
Roberto Perroni.
Live from the official reopening of the Batchwood Sports Centre. Tomorrow from 3 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Steve.
Morning.
Oh, it's this Steve. Oh, never mind. I wouldn't have expounded so much energy. I wouldn't have put so much into it had I known.
Oh, what's a shame, isn't it? My heart bleeds.
Yeah, oh, Steve, what can I do for thee?
About the internet and all that.
Yes, comrade. What would you like to say about the internet?
I'll give you comrade.
It's Lefty Steve. Yes, brother. What would you like?
Oh,
come on, you big pinko. Spit it out. Share it with the workers.
There aren't many left in England, is there?
Hey, well, you'd like everyone to have a job, wouldn't you?
Yeah, too right.
Yay!
Only for the British, though.
Yeah, there we go. Right, Steve, let's have a little laugh at racism. What would you like to say?
About the internet, surely if you put it as your personal opinion before you open your mouth on the internet, surely that should cover you, shouldn't it?
No, it doesn't.
Why not? It's freedom of speech as well.
We've had this conversation. Freedom of speech doesn't exist. It's a myth.
It does work.
It does. No, I didn't say it didn't work. That's a different argument. It doesn't exist.
I speak every day freedom and say what I like.
Yeah, well, but you can't in this phone call now, and you can't on Twitter if you say certain things. Of course.
Why?
Well, because
what should be gagged? Yeah, but the society, the country, the government's gagging people. We're not a democracy then, are we? All
steel. Steve, listen. There are rules that we have to follow. We have to adhere. If you don't like it, then go move back to Russia, mate. But
I'll tell you what. There's probably more freedoms in Russia than there is in England.
Steve, I can't go on Twitter now and say something. I'm trying to think of an example, and I can't. I'm struggling to a little bit because it's
about the BBC. Can you not say that? Anything about the BBC then?
Yeah, well, this is it. I can say stuff about the BBC. I don't know what the line would be that I would have to cross. There is a line out there. I don't know what that line would be. I could, for example, go on and say, I think 5 Live have made a big mistake by not employing many women in their new lineup. I can go on and say I think EastEnders is rubbish. I can go on and say Tony Hall has made a really bad decision, the boss of the BBC. I can say those things, but there would be a line that I could cross that would get me possibly get me the sack.
Well, it's your personal opinion, though, isn't it?
No, but I am a representative. I am an ambassador for the BBC. I was on Radio 4 for crying out loud.
Oh, well, you've gone up in the world, haven't you?
Thank you very much, Stephen. want to be bugged and I want to invade foreign countries illegally. That's a powerful piece of music, isn't it?
They're singing like their life depends on it.
Because it does.
Probably.
Because there are people with guns pointing at them. That's a good bit of music, isn't it? That's the Russian national anthem, I believe.
That's what's called taking it to church.
Taking it to well, yes. Okay, can you?
They don't really believe in church.
No, they don't. That was a good bit of music, wasn't it, Pat?
Not too bad. Better than normal.
Oh, what? Better than bit of Glenn Campbell or Dusty Springfield or something that we normally play.
Oh, you can't beat Glenn Campbell.
You can't beat a little bit of Glenn. Hey, we're going to... Mark Bago's going to come on next week. He's written a book about Glenn Campbell.
Of course he is.
No,
Is he really?
he's going to come on. He's written a book about Glenn Campbell.
Do you have the right number this time?
I've got the right number this time.
I feel like to call it in advance.
No.
I feel like we've done that interview.
No, he's coming on again to talk about his book again. Anyway, Pat.
Yes. You wanted me to research my comments that I was making about
yes.
didn't you?
What were your comments? Remind me.
My comments were that we're probably paying quite a lot for health tourism when they come into this country. The settled community are probably paying for these people that are not paying themselves.
Okay, yes.
Yeah?
You got some stats?
Oh, yeah. What I've got here is that...
Stats, I hope.
No, hang on.
Better than stats.
Yeah. People from the EU or the EEA, they should carry, not must, a European health insurance card.
I've got one. Have you got one?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I've got one. You've got to apply for it, but I've got one.
Which entitles them to a reduced rate of which is a cost to healthcare, or even free healthcare.
Yep.
So we're still paying towards healthcare with health tourism. And the Department of Health spokesman says the cost of treating foreigners is at least £30 million a year.
Okay, that's not health tour. I'm doing it now. That's not health tourism. I thought you were talking
with health tourism.
Well, it's not. I thought that those are people who are legally allowed to use our healthcare, and when we go abroad, we're legally allowed to use theirs. I thought you were talking to people that were coming to this country specifically to use the National Health Service and then disappear.
Well, isn't that health tourism? And they're coming into this country to enjoy what we've actually delivered.
Well, okay. Well, Pat. So listen, you've done some research. I appreciate it. Do you remember what I asked you to find out, though?
Well, the thing is, you see, Ian, I'm a member of the public who has an opinion, and also in that opinion and research I had, there's a £30 million funding black hole in the NHS to do with Milton Keynes and Bedford.
Okay.
Which could see A&E.
But just to flag up, you are a member of the public now. You were a councillor at one point, so that does, I think, set you aside slightly from other civilians.
No, it doesn't, because I'm neutral with other civilians now. I'm not a councillor.
Okay, but you certainly have more connections than perhaps other people might do. The thing I asked you to do...
So do you. Yeah. The BBC.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've not denied that for 1 second. What I asked you to find out, Pat, was how many people are coming over as health tourists and how much it was costing us.
Well, I find my research more interesting than what you asked me to tell.
But with the greatest of respect, it's irrelevant to what we were talking about last week.
Well, the greatest of respect, you don't employ me either. And
hang on,
with figures.
Pat, listen. I know you didn't have to do it. You accepted the challenge, which is great. But you've come back with a different argument, which is fine. We can do that argument as well. But it's irrelevant to what we were talking about last week.
Spending £30 million on people that come in from other countries on healthcare is not irrelevant in my book. I paid towards that.
It's irrelevant to what we were talking about last week. It's not connected to what we were talking about last week.
Well, I'll change the goalpost like you can do sometimes.
No, but Pat, I don't understand. You phoned up with these facts, which are, it's interesting. Where did you get them from, by the way?
Oh, where did you get facts from?
No, I'm allowed to ask your sources. What are your sources?
Okay. NHS Choices.
Yep.
And also the Department of Health.
Yep.
And also a report from UKIP. You didn't like that last one, did you?
Well, no, I don't. I like it a lot, Pat, because do you think that maybe a report from UKIP about European nationals coming up, UK Independence Party, about European nationals coming over to this country to our health service, do you think there's any slight chance it might be vaguely biased?
Well, I think that with the Conservative government as well, and I think that with the Labour government, and I think that with the Liberal coalition with the Conservatives. I also think that from the BBC as well.
Pat, just
Could be a little bit biased.
Pat, just very quickly, because we're going to be late for the travel. Do you think there's a chance? Do you think there's a chance that a UKIP report into people coming over and using the health service from Europe might be slightly biased? Yes or no?
No, I don't actually. No,
no he doesn't.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1, the Great North Road, looking rather heavy heading just around the Black Hat roundabout. And the M1's looking heavy heading southbound between Junction 12 for Flitwick and Junction 10 for Luton Airport. The A1M heavy moving just at Junction 7 for Stevenage. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise, rather heavy from Junction 21, the M1, to Junction 15, the M4. So far on the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you as well, Pat. Good sparring. I enjoyed that. Could have gone on for a little bit longer. Iain, I love my part-time job. I'm an on-call firefighter in Olney, North Bucks. The best job I've ever done. That's from the sexy fireman. Secret fireman, sorry. David's up next. I'm back tomorrow at 6. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain Lee. Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. It's the JVS show. I'm David Previs standing in for Jonathan Vernon Smith. At 9, it's the big phone in then, and I want to hear from you this morning with this.